Right.
Wait,
So
before you tell your, let's just, are we ready to start,
Yep, we're
Sheila?
going live right now in like 10
Okay,
seconds.
okay, and I'll just welcome everybody
Okay,
in.
we're live.
Okay, welcome to the walking conference sponsored by Portal to Ascension with Sheila Seppi, Neil Gore. I'm Alan Steinfeld, and we've just completed 3 intense, full-on days of presentations with many levels of speakers and many dimensions and so much vibration. I just want to introduce Mark Sims because he didn't present, but he does have an interesting story that relates to everything that we've been talking about. Sheila, you want to say anything before Mark?
No, that's fine. You can go ahead.
Okay. So briefly, Mark, I know it's like it's quite a process, but talk about what happened.
well, let me know how much time that I have. How much time would you like me to spend on
How's
this?
like 5, 6, 7 minutes or something?
Okay, I'll keep a good
Okay.
track of time,
Okay.
so that I have, you know, I have a
Right.
lot to share, of course.
I
So I'm
know.
going to boil it down into a 5-minute nugget.
Okay.
So my name's Mark Sims, and in 2012, I learned about Stephen Greer and his CE5 protocol. And for those of you that have not heard about him, he claimed that since he was a young man to be in contact with extraterrestrials, and they made a proposition to him to teach others a meditative practice that he claimed could initiate contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. Back in 2012, I was a scientist. My background's computer science and nanotechnology. And I was a skeptic, but because of Stephen Greer's disclosure project, which I had not learned about until 2012, early 2012, I began to think that maybe these people were telling the truth. The witnesses that came forward from the military and from government jobs with the FAA and NASA. And I found their testimony credible. And if what they were saying was true, it was the biggest story in human history. And I wanted to know the truth of the matter. So I started researching Greer, who had organized the Disclosure Project, and learned that he was organizing these 5 to 6 day retreats where he would teach the meditative practice to small groups of people. And I registered for one of these classes and flew from Michigan to San Diego, and I attended a 6-day retreat in Borrego Springs, which is in the Anza Borrego Desert. And there were 25 of us all together. And we spent 6 days meditating in the evenings from about 8 in the evening until 1 in the morning in a circle. And on the 5th night of a group meditation, a ship materialized out of thin air right above us. And I saw it with my own eyes. I saw this ship materialize out of thin air and then just as quickly dematerialized. But it was visible for at least 3 or 4 seconds, and it was moving. And it was clear to me that it was not a man-made object. It appeared to me to be a divine energy, a divine object. It really left me with a sense of awe. And for an atheist, a devout atheist, which I was at the time, it really was a profound experience. Later that night, after we talked about it and then we left to go back to our hotel rooms, I decided to try to do this meditation alone in my hotel room, thinking that maybe now that I know they're real and they may be watching us because it was such a dramatic sighting, that that maybe they would show up in my room. I knew that I wasn't going to freak out, that I was prepared for a face-to-face contact, and that's what I desired. So I began doing this meditation, and a lot happened during the meditation. I had this visceral experience in which I saw light blue light forming in my mind's eye, which was like a fog that was swirling, and then it coalesced into this light, this very well-defined light blue sphere. And then it morphed into a humanoid figure in front of me, all while my eyes are closed. And then after a few minutes of this humanoid figure just standing there, I decided to open my eyes, and standing at the end of my bed, as if my eyes had been open the entire time, was a light being. And I greeted it and said three things I had practiced before I started this meditation for the exclusive purpose of, what would you say to an ET that you were able to summon in your own hotel room? That was an important event. So I really thought about what I wanted to say, and I said three things. First of all, that I was very grateful and honored that he would visit me. Two, that I hope that this would be the beginning of a lifelong friendship. I had heard of other people who claimed to have friendships with extraterrestrials, so I wanted that intention to be known. And finally, I told him I completely trusted him to do with me and my body anything that he chose. As soon as that greeting was given, he slowly walked around the end of my bed and approached me, and then slowly with his index finger started reaching for my elbow. And I watched him as he touched my elbow initially and then continued to penetrate my body with his finger. And I could feel him penetrating my body. It was a sensation like static electricity. And he continued to slowly push his hand into my left side, through my back, and eventually walked into my body. Hence why I'm here on this show, because I experienced what he called a communion. And I spent 13 days in this state of communion with a being I learned was from Earth. He claimed that he was from Earth, that he had died as a human roughly 3,000 years ago, and that he had ascended and was continuing his conscious and spiritual evolution at higher planes or realms or dimensions of experience. And over that 13 days, answered any question that I gave him. And as a consequence, it profoundly changed my life in dramatic ways. And I'm about ready to finish writing a book, and you'll learn more there.
Wow. Thank you. And that consciousness has stayed with you. It sort of elevated you to do this planetary work. And
Absolutely.
And Mark and I are going to be on this Saturday Night Live show talking more about this February 6th of this year, Saturday Night Live. It's on YouTube. Thank you, Mark. Maybe you could jump in later. It's a very dramatic story when you hear all the details. That was just a really quick synopsis, but I think it's another aspect of something we haven't covered, this merging of the ET beingness, or was more of an ascended being, into the human vehicle, and then living that kind of dual soul experience almost. Yeah. Okay. Is Grant here? Maybe Grant can just give a little synopsis of the work he's doing, and then we'll talk to all our speakers. There you are, Grant Cameron, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. How you doing, Alan?
Good. And these are all my friends for the last 3 days we've been living together.
Beautiful. So I saw a bit of the first day.
Especially Sheila. I just want to say about Grant. Grant was a hardcore nuts and bolts UFO researcher. It's all about objects. And then boom, suddenly he had this epiphany and said, no, it's not about nuts. It's about consciousness. And go ahead, Grant, take over from there.
Yeah, I guess what we're referring to is 2012. I have the experience. I'm watching Colin Andrews' lecture in Phoenix, Arizona, and I have this, I guess it would be called now a noetic experience, where I was basically told with absolute certainty that this is consciousness. Then in 2017, I had a more extended download experience where I was sort of given 24 things about how the universe worked. And basically what it said was, not only have you got it wrong, it's exactly the opposite of what you think it is. And I used to think Jacques Vallée was crazy. I used to think, this is insane stuff. And what I've looked at now is that the more I go along, the less I think it really has to do with flesh and blood ETs, flesh and blood nuts and bolts. Even if you get the sightings, I know, and looking back, I had 2 sightings in 1975, and two of the many sightings I had. In 2 of them, the object actually changed from one object to another as it was coming in. And that's the kind of stuff that always stuck in the back of my mind, that, what's going on. Or if you take a look at, a lot of people have experiences, and when they're on board the ship with the aliens, they'll always want to say, well, did they probe you? Did it hurt? Were you scared? I always ask the question, like, and I did it today. I had 2 interviews today. I said, so did the alien have any clothes on? And they go, no, come to think of it, no, I didn't have any clothes on. And then I'd say, do you have any sex organs? No, I didn't have any sex organs. Did it ever get any older? You saw it for Betty Andreasen from 1946 on. Did it ever get any older? No, it never got any older. And then you start wondering, like, what is really going on? And what Alan wanted me to sort of talk about was this idea that this idea of consciousness, that when you come down to it, it's almost like, I guess where I would be right now is whether it's Donald Hoffman, or whether it's Deepak Chopra, where they say everything is an action inside consciousness. So it's the idea that there are no nouns. It's a verb. It is conscious. It can manifest as whatever it wants. So that's what you see is beings can come. They can become as owls or deer or whatever being they want. And it's this idea that this is not quite as nuts and bolts, not as clear. It's almost like it's a very plastic type thing. And anybody who's done psychedelics will know that when you get on the other side, you get in that side, everything becomes very plastic. So there was a study that was done that just occurred to me, like, wow, we should go down this road. And it was a study that was done with J.Z. Knight, who was the channeler for Ramtha and was the spiritual advisor to Shirley MacLaine. And she was under a lot of attacks of being, occult and bad news and all this kind of stuff. And at one point, Ramtha said to her that she should run an experiment and do this DNA test. And so what she did is she did the test where she's completely normal. They did 3 DNA tests with her, and she came out as French female. Then she goes into the Ramtha channel. She gains the weight. She does all this kind of stuff. She's completely sort of different. And they do the DNA, send it to the 3 labs, and it comes back male, Icelandic. I can't remember what the nationalities were, but it was completely different. And that sort of shows you, if that's true, this is much more complex. That's what I would say. I always say, people, when I sum up my 45 years, this is going to be way more complex than people think it is. It's going to be a lot less physical than people think it is. It's going to be a lot more spiritual than people think it is. And so when I saw the J.Z. Knight thing, and people would say, well, she's, it's a hoax or whatever. And I said, well, what if it isn't? If that experiment does work? And I said, well, let's run it again. And so I started, and because of COVID, we've sort of been stalled. But what I've basically done is we've gone after various types of people. Now, if you've studied people who are personality disorders, you'll hear these rumors that people with that have multiple personalities, that when the alter takes over, the person's eye color will change, or one has diabetes, the other one doesn't have a diabetes. And that, again, that's DNA. If the eye color is changing, the DNA is changing. And this is this whole idea that this is consciousness, and that it can change, and that the beings have the ability to come in and change. So if a channeled being comes in, say as a walk-in, or however we want to describe it, a temporary walk-in, not only does the being come in, but the consciousness, the DNA changes. So it means the DNA is consciousness. That's the basis of it. Whereas we think it's a physical thing. Oh, you got this DNA and you inherit the DNA and you can't change. And then when you start looking at the data, you start seeing all these experiments that seem to indicate, no, the DNA has changed. Now, the only one we did was a woman who was channeling a reptilian. And she said the reptilian said that his DNA would change. It would be South American DNA or whatever. we ran the test, and it came up negative. That she, with the two tests went, and they were exactly the same, which gives the indication that a lot of people, you'll hear the stories that people say, oh, when you do the DNA test, you can take your dog and you can put the dog's saliva and it'll come out like a human being or whatever. Well, we ran this test with her, and it came back exactly the same. Two separate tests to the same company, blind tests, so they don't know who they're analyzing, identical, which indicates that the DNA tests that are being done by, I think we use 23andMe, are pretty accurate. Mm-hmm. And so we had a bunch of people lined up. We had Bashar had agreed to do this test. And again, so what you need is, you need not just a channeler, you need a trance channeler. And that means when the being takes over, when it takes control of the body, the voice changes, this kind of stuff. And trance channelers, there's not that many like pure trance channelers. So we had Bashar had agreed to do it. Then we had the famous German physical medium, because again, you have in a lot of the physical mediums, you will see the complete switch. And so what we're going to do is we're going to try to get a DNA sample from the ectoplasm, things like this.
Well, did you hear Sheila's story when she walked in? Were you here for that? Because instead of doing all those, I mean, you could do all those testings, but when Sheila had her walk in, all those diseases and everything. Well, Sheila, you want to tell?
Okay, but the difference with that is that we're talking to the scientific community that right. is that it's anecdotal. Like, you know, the UFO community doesn't want to listen to experiences. That's anecdotal. I know, you just believe. You're hallucinating. You're just making it up. I know. And that's, so when you get the thing where if you get a DNA and you can get it on a test, where say Bashar comes up and it's two entirely different DNAs, this is on paper. This is in your face. And as I always make the joke, it's like all the scientists will be running to fight for the cyanide pill, because it's like everything they believe is going to be wrong. And that's what I was told in 2017. Everything is wrong. And that's this whole idea of how much does consciousness actually operate? That if the beings are conscious, if they're in this field, and consciousness is just or physical matter is just a vibration of consciousness, if they understand this whole principle, they can change to be whatever they want. And that's what happens with this DNA thing. But it's to get it on paper where you can't argue it. You've got these blind tests that are being done, and you can, and we want to run a bunch of them, like with physical mediums. And we even want to do the thing with the personality disorder people, the ones that have the alters changing, but that you really can't go in. I was actually in some of the Facebook groups, but you really can't go in and say, oh, I'd like you to flip your alter and take on a different personality, because that's sort of like going into an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting and asking someone to get drunk. So there's all these different type of people where it appears that the DNA is changing, and that destroys the whole material paradigm.
Right, because the consciousness changes, it will change the DNA. But Sheila, when before your walk-in, you were documented by doctors as being very sick. Tell that story just a little bit for people tuning in now, because it's so dramatic. I think Grant would appreciate it too.
Sure. So in my early 20s, I was diagnosed with the potential of having brain tumors. They thought I had MS. They said there's this new thing out called AIDS. Maybe you've got that. We're not really sure. And then they released me from the hospital and said, your symptoms will start showing up, because the only way that we can know exactly what's going on is basically to go drill into the brain. And I said, thank you very much. No. So then in my 30s, I put my hand on the rail. My clavicle shattered as I was going down the steps. I went to the doctor. They sent me to Duke University. I had an oncologist and was diagnosed with bone cancer. They went to go in to take the clavicle out. And when they got in there, all of a sudden, they had no explanation to what was going on, but they said they couldn't find the bone cancer. Then I ended up having fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, sarcoidosis, erythema nodosum. I walked with a cane. I was very, very sick. So when the walk-in came in, I went to bed very, very sick. It felt like lightning. Well, about 7 o'clock the next morning, it felt like somebody reached down, grabbed me by the hair of the head, pulled me bolt upright. Lightning ran through my body, was the only analogy I could say. And then I was in white space. And when my vision started finally coming back, it was the peripheral vision and then my frontal vision, and everything was different, but everything was the same. Now, unbeknownst to me, that's when the walk-in came in. However, you know, I had the mindset that I was still sick, but my body began operating. I was healthy again. I could play with my children. I would go back to the doctors. They would do all the blood tests. I was truly in that Western medicine model. Bam, I was healed. No explanations. Nobody could figure out what was going on. It was like, well, this is wonderful. We don't know what happened. We have no explanation, but let us know when you need your prescriptions refilled.
But your consciousness was different as well.
Right. So my entire personality changed. I lost my memory. The only people I remembered were my 3 children, my mom and dad, and my sister. I was married at the time, so obviously within 3 months, I left that marriage because I had no identity of the person of who I was before. My articulation level increased. I became clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient all at one time. I started remembering past lives, and I did not believe in reincarnation. I started remembering healing techniques. I remembered what it was like for the soul to slip out of the body, for the soul to come back into the body. I remembered being on the other side and operating in that space, but this was not my memory. So that person, I was a complete soul switch, and that old person left and this new person came in, and I was to assume their identity and to walk out the rest of, I guess you would say, the contracts that they had. And my DNA began to shift and change. My eyes are very, very, very green now. Jeremy can tell you they used to be blue. The DNA has changed. My hair color used to be much lighter. It became this color. I'm still the same height, so that didn't help. But, so there was a dramatic shift and a dramatic change in my life.
So that's a DNA thing, don't you think, Grant?
Yeah, it is. The thing is to get it on paper, to document it on paper, because what they're going to say is, well, you're just cured. Like, for example, we know 50% of all experiencers, according to the Free survey, say either they or someone in their family was cured. And you have this situation like with Chris Bledsoe, who had chronic Crohn's disease, which is not curable. And he had the experience that night in 2007, and he went to hide out in the cornfield with his son because all these beings were walking around the house. And then he said to Chris Jr., he said, I forgot my medicine. I've got 14 prescription drugs he was taking. And he never took another pill from that day on. So the thing is to get it on paper, to document the fact that this has actually changed, like the eye color has changed and this kind of stuff, because science is not going to accept anecdotal material. They're just not going to do it. And that to me is to get it so that it's, and we can run it a number of times. Like if you get people, there's a lot of trance channelers. You got to get people to agree to this kind of stuff. But if you can get 3 or 4 or 5 people where you can actually show on paper on day number 1, they had this DNA, especially like Jay-Z Knight, where you go from a female DNA to a male DNA. And that's traumatic.
But it's true. I think the purpose of this conference was to identify experience. That's one thing that you're talking about, of course, on paper. But what we've been sharing for 3 days are people's conscious experience. So you're right, it has to start in consciousness first. And like Jeremy here saw Sheila, right? And Jeremy, can you talk about how you were able to tell Sheila what happened to her as a soul transplant?
Oh, well, that's a good question. Sheila appeared at a door and the whole door lit up. I couldn't see her. All I could see was the light. And she came into my office and as she said, honey, sit down, take a breath, just be still. And what I what I see is an overlay. I don't know how to explain that to you, Grant, and I don't know how I'd ever prove it.
Yeah.
But I saw Sheila, but then I also saw this overlay of a light being. And it was not the same as Sheila. It was bigger. It had a luminosity that went out. It was kind of a blue-white color. And I don't think I told Sheila right away what I thought. I don't think I did, honey. I think it was probably a little while. She was obviously absolutely in crisis and had never, you were.
Oh, shit.
And she had never heard about a walk-in, and she didn't know me from Adam. She, she just came. She felt drawn there. And so I saw it in her. I actually saw it. And I do to this day, not as often, but sometimes if I'm walking down a street or into a restaurant, I'll get a glimpse and I'll see a flash. So it took a little while, and I don't want to take all of your time in explaining that, but that's how I knew. And when I did tell her, can you remember saying what you said? What the hell is a walk-in?
Walk-ins are a whole other level than channeling is one thing, and then walk-ins, it's like
totally different.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that being that, that soul that had come into me was not yet fully integrated into the person that I am today. I would say that that being is integrated. But when that energy first came in, I literally thought I was having a psychotic break because my reality had shifted and changed so much that I felt like I was losing touch with reality. It was unbelievable. Yeah. And again, thank you, Jeremy, for keeping me from the mental institution.
That wasn't really what I was worried about, honey. It was the cliff at the end of your road I was worried about.
Well, let me ask Barbara Lamb if she's noticed that with contactees, a kind of DNA. Of course, like Grant says, you have to prove it. But what did you notice as far as shifting on a cellular level? And I think Yvonne talks about that too. But what did you notice, Barbara? And
well, contactees, abductees, experiencers, whatever we would like to call them. I prefer the word experiencer. They too, before they realize what's happening, which often takes years or even decades in many cases, they really wonder about their sanity. Because even starting in childhood, in so many cases, they've awakened at night or even during the day, they've suddenly seen another kind of being there, or maybe even a few unusual beings there. And actually, when they're very young children, they don't know the difference between what's supposed to be reality according to humans and what isn't. So they're more likely to accept them as, oh yeah, okay. They came last night, or they may be afraid of them, but oh yeah, it's part of reality. But as they get older and they realize that other people don't know about those beings and think it's all cuckoo, they begin to really doubt themselves, because on the one hand, they know that they have seen them and been with them, and even in many cases being taken away for a while by them and returned. It doesn't fit consensual reality around them. And if they talk about it at all, people usually think, oh my God, you really have an imagination and you must really be making this stuff up, and I don't want to hear about it anymore. So that is the experience of many, many children who have these experiences. And then as they grow older, they may or may not retain that sense that there's something really wrong with them because they have these beings visit. And on the one hand, they know it's true, but because it doesn't fit consensual reality and they get bad reactions to it from other people, they learn in so many cases to just keep it to themselves and go on and wonder. And that's why, from my particular point of view, the regressions that people come to do sometimes about those unusual experiences, like what was really going on, what was that about? Those regressions can be extremely helpful to that person because they bring out the details which show the whole episode, one whole episode at a time. And then they get validation for themselves that, oh, you know what? I'm not crazy. I mean, that really happened. There really are these beings. They really do come and take us. And whatever they saw on the ship that they were taken to, they now realize that, oh, I'm not crazy. Those things really, really exist. They really happen. It's just that most people I know don't know about them.
Right. Well,
So yeah, they go through a big adjustment in many, many cases. Some people seem to accept the reality of it for themselves more than others. But they all, at least anybody I've worked with, a couple of thousand people, they always express gratitude and relief in finding out more of the details about what's happening with these other beings.
Well, thank you, Barb. I want to talk to Yvonne for a second, for as long as he can choose to relay this intense story he went through that relates to what Grant and Barbara just said, and also Sheila. When you saw that vehicle and it descended, you didn't talk about that today too much, Yvonne, did you? That transformation?
No, I didn't, but it is in the book, Walk-ins, Cosmology of the Soul.
But could you tell us here, because that is so dramatic, what happened?
Absolutely.
And I think Mark would like it too.
Totally. So my walk-in experience, or loosely walk-in experience, as we would kind of categorize it, was back in 2013. I was outside, just finished reading a invocation of a legend called The Eagle's Gift by Carlos Castaneda. Maybe many of you have heard of him. He has a lot of the Toltec teachings that he shares also on the Nawal as well. That was mentioned. Alan, you've mentioned the time of the Nawal. Sheila's also mentioned the name, and it's also interwoven in the Mayan teachings as well. So I just finished reading that little invocation, and I was just like, wow, okay, the Eagle's Gift. And I was looking up in the sky and noticed a very bright light that was shimmering between blues and golds and reds and purples. And, my empirical scientific mind was like, okay, maybe this is, Venus with some lights, emanating, reflecting off the gas. And so I just kind of observed and stayed with it. And I ended up connecting with this star, noticing that it was actually hovering a little bit. And when I first noticed that, I was using the stars around it as reference points to see, is it really actually shifting, moving? And lo and behold, I noticed that it was kind of meandering. And when I recognized that, every time I would recognize or extend my recognition to it, it would kind of pulse and get brighter. And so it gave this pulse of recognition, like, oh, I see you too. And we started a telepathic conversation where I would actually send and project symbols and series of geometries out to it, and it would actually begin to trace them in the sky. And so we had built this really beautiful connection and had this conversation that was just naturally telepathic. And at the time that, towards the end of us really coming into synchronization and resonance, it was able to complete the sequence before I could even register in my conscious mind that I had completed the last symbol. So it was almost in like, you know, hyper light speed. It was able to literally draw it out before my biological mind could even compute that I had registered that thought. And in that moment, I was just like, wow, okay, we are in a deep communion here. And at that moment, this was in Colorado, and I was just out in the foothills of where Denver, Westminster kind of meets on the city's edge. And I think it might have been 2 or 3 Black Hawk helicopters started flying out from DIA, from Denver International Airport, and they were booking it. They were over to where I was within a matter of minutes, and they actually flew directly over top of me, and they had their spotlights out, but they weren't scanning the ground. They were actually scanning the sky all around me as they flew over top. And the star, if you will, stayed put, and it remained still as they came by scanning the area. And then they got to the foothills and the flat irons of the mountain eventually, and then they went down south towards Morrison and Red Rocks, and then eventually west into the mountains to continue their little investigation. And after a few, minutes of silence and them kind of disappearing, the star kind of came out of stillness and kind of wiggled around a little bit and kind of gave me like, oh, that was fun. They didn't see me. And I was just like, what is happening? And because I'd actually had previous sightings. I think a lot of commonality for a lot of walk-ins is that they've had contact experiences, whether that's visually or through their dreams or in meditation. And so I see that as a correlation that's very important to recognize. It's something that kind of ties it all together. So I was sitting there, and it went back into kind of hovering around, and it flashed a little brighter and actually came down, and it came down and got brighter. And it was at the point where it kind of began to hover over top. It was maybe 4 football fields away in distance. And it was just sitting there hovering. And what happened is the light on the building where I was actually started flicking on and off like Morse code. And at the time, this is 2013. This was, I was still pretty young at the time. I want to say I was maybe 24, 25. I'm 32 now. And I actually wasn't on the path that I am now. I had really no, understanding of like light language or transmissions, but I just intuitively knew, oh, it's sending a transmission. There's a light language, frequency that's altering the light. So it's flicking on and off. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're actually having a moment here. This is more than just a sighting or an experience. We're actually making contact at this point. And so this goes on for about 15 minutes. And I'm just laying there flat, and I have just peace, just full peace, full trust. It's like one of those moments where you are just in the arms of the beloved, and there's so much love. There's so much presence. And I'm just sitting there like receiving, I'm receiving this transmission, and I'm, my mind is saying, I don't know how to read this. I don't speak this, but I do know at a soul level, I'm actually decoding this, receiving this message. And I just had the intuition, I just need to open my DNA. I just need to expand the helixes to actually receive this code. And towards the end of the transmission, the frequency, the palpable frequency of like my skin and the electricity in the air shifted. And at this point, I had finally had my eyes kind of come to rest and actually be able to observe this star. And what I saw beyond the light was not your typical saucer, silver, shiny kind of spaceship. it was actually made of stone. It was a spherical stone. It looked like a dolomite or a granite, similar to, the pyramids of Giza are primarily a dolomite composite. The inner chambers are made out of granite. Both of these have their properties that lead me to believe that this ship could have been composed maybe out of this. And so it was a very dark stone, almost like a black or brown, and with these glints and glimmers of kind of the rough surface, kind of like granite or dolomite. And so I'm perceiving this sphere made out of stone, and I'm seeing patches of moss. I'm seeing ferns hanging off of it, and it actually was generating its own atmosphere. It's almost a bubble of this soft blue, faint blue light. And so as I'm beginning, my eyes are adjusting, I'm starting to see this, and that's when the electricity changes in the field. And rather than a continuous stream of uninterrupted, the Morse code, if you will, didn't have any repeating patterns in it. But at the end, it shifted to where the electricity changed, the light frequency, the color actually changed a little bit on the light. And there was like a repeating sequence. And I was just like, oh, and then this is all intuition. I'm like, oh, it's just uploading something right now. It's just getting ready to upload or download something because the frequency changed. And I just intuitively knew this. And what started to happen is these faint blue holographic cogs, almost like when you see certain versions of the Mayan calendar, there will be the 7 Silis, which are the kind of like their chakras. And then there'll be another wheel for the moon count. And then there'll be another wheel for the solar count. And then for the Baktun and the Katun. And you'll see these multiple wheels within wheels. Each of the cogs' teeth has a glyph on it, right? Well, that's exactly what I was seeing. I was seeing these cogs with glyphs on each of the teeth. And then around the central ring was an inscription of continually shifting light language, which I assume now is actually the Ayumi that I spoke of earlier, which is connected to the etheric blood. And the Ayumi spins these mudras of infinite totality into existence through our blood. So I'm seeing these scripts, and as it turns, it's casting out these other symbols that would discharge off the teeth at certain times. And it's forming cog by cog, a column over top of me. And I'm assuming at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to make it to work tomorrow. Goodbye, mom and dad. This is it. I'm going up on the ship. Or, I am about to get, Death Star laser beamed, and then I won't be at work tomorrow and all the same things, But I'm trusting, I'm like, oh, I'm going aboard. That was my intuition at the moment. And as the light is flicking on and off, and I'm seeing these repeating patterns, and I'm feeling the presence of a download, upload coming, I'm thinking I'm leaving, but I didn't leave. I arrived. And what I witnessed was actually a blue soul in this. I was laying flat in the parking space at the time, using the curb as my little pillow to read the book, using the light on the building. And this blue soul falls in the same parallel as me, so I'm laying looking up, and the soul is falling in the same plane. And then it enters me. And as soon as it enters me, the light stops flicking on and off. Everything goes back to normal. Each one of those cogs disappears one by one, goes back into the stone craft, and it just sits there. And that at that moment, it was that, oh, you are with me. You are protecting me. You are my guardian. You are here with me. These are my star ancestors. And the way that it's come into view for me on the inner planes, as I've come to unpack this, I've discovered that this particularly has to do with a diatronic Talika experience. The diatronic Talika term is actually you are existing in multiple timelines. You can also exist multidimensionally. This is not your average walk-in. It actually wouldn't even technically call it a walk-in. It would be a soul integration from different dimensions and timelines. And that's why the Mayan glyphs and what I call the time tunnel actually was present, which it was actually a returning of me to me from past and future timelines.
So they're still with you, right? You're still.
Yes, I am still with me.
You're still with me now. All right.
And I am with you right here.
And thank you for being with us.
Yeah.
Can we come back to that story? I think Jeremy's getting a little tired. Are you getting a little tired, Jeremy? Yes, she says, yeah. So do you have anything you want to leave us with? Because I really enjoy your knowledge, your stories, some of the Hopi wisdom, some of the Hopi prophecies you want to leave us with. You can unmute yourself there. Oh, there. Okay.
I'm in the habit of muting myself.
Stop muting yourself. No.
Well, first of all, it was absolutely a wonderful conference. I am so delighted to have met all of you. This is part of the prophecies. There are many Hopi prophecies that have been related, and then there are a few that nobody knows about. And one of the few—
That's what we want to hear, those.
one of the few is the old ones will return, the original inhabitants, the original star beings, the ones who were here in the beginning will return to make sure that everything is exactly as it is supposed to be. So as I said, we are the ones that we've been waiting for. And I'm tired, and it has been wonderful to get to know all of you. Please stay in touch. Sheila's got all my information. I'm pretty friendly when you get to know me. I don't bite. But I do talk to walk-ins a lot. So have a wonderful time, everybody. Good night. I'm going to leave now.
Being here, Jeremy. Okay, I want to also, Gail, you haven't met Gail, Grant, but everyone else has. I did actually see Gail change. We were in Egypt together. We're at the Temple of Isis, and suddenly this woman just starts to radiate this energy. And I look over, I hadn't really noticed you before, Gail. Where'd you come from? And she just starts bringing in the divine feminine, the Isis energy. And I think you still embody that. So
I do.
Anyway, what do you want to leave us with? What final words, what like overview of the conference what did you get? Like what stands out, and what do you want us to take with us?
I guess mostly is understanding energy and being in a place of complete unconditional love. And I know it's easier said than done. And being in unconditional love really means you start with yourself, and it's a trust in divine, but you start with yourself, loving yourself without judgment and healing that which needs to be healed. And therefore, those that are in your environment, you will not judge, because when you heal yourself, you heal others in their presence, in your presence. And just trusting. And I know that we're going to have a lot of chaos is going to unfold in the coming times. And it truly is that we are the way showers, and we are here to show that there is a way through this, and it is with peace and grace and unconditional love, and being non-judgmental, which doesn't mean you're a doormat. It just means that you stay in allowance, but sometimes you stand your truth firmly, and sometimes you know your truth and just know it, and sometimes you have to act, and that's where discernment comes in. So I would say practice discernment, practice unconditional love, practice grace for yourself and for others.
Thank you. And just a little bit about your practice. Anything you have to say about what Grant mentioned about DNA shifting? Because you work on that holistic level. Have you seen evidence of that when people have had these types of higher consciousness experiences?
I have definitely seen the physical eye change and facial structure. I know there's pictures out of me where I've been in channeling mode and I don't recognize myself. And I'll say, I know I was there. I was sitting at that table and I don't see me. And people look at me and go, this is you. And it's not my facial structure because it's shifted. Um, and I have shifted to become like a Mayan chief and Native American. And I was speaking Native American and I didn't even realize I was speaking it until two Native Americans where I was were looking at each other and they came and told me later that I was speaking in their native tongue.
Wow.
So
That's, can I just break in with that's the kind of stuff that I'm looking for, where you get somebody where facial change, and that's what all I'm saying is that if you can record that before and after, the whole world changes, because then everybody goes like, how do you explain that? Because it's one thing to say it, and that's what I look for is this thing about facial structure and the different voices and stuff like that. And I just think it would change the world in terms of understanding that consciousness is primary. We are not this. We are not the actor on the stage. We are the person behind the consciousness, watching the play. Where our ego gets us to where we actually believe we're here and we're doing this sort of play thing. I'm just fascinated with that stuff, and I just think it's a matter of time until I get one. And we've got one. Like it's the idea. You got one white crow. If you find the second white crow, it's game over. Everything has to change, and we're not the crazy people anymore. Then it's like the thing with, I don't know if you've seen the experiments that were done with Thomas Jefferson University, where they would take people, for example, you're doing channeling, you're doing mediumship or whatever. They used to say, they're making it up. They're making it up. Then they put the people in the MRI machines, and they do, okay, do your channeling thing. And they do the channeling thing, and everybody has the same brain pattern. This shuts down, that lights up, all this sort of stuff. And it just basically shows, no, these people aren't making up. Whatever they're doing, whether it's praying or whatever, I actually went to them with the light language. That's another thing I'm fascinated with. People are doing light language.
We're
So I said,
do some here, yes.
Yeah, so I actually went, and I went to Thomas Jefferson, to the guy who did he does all the stuff, the channeling, the praying, the monks, changing their skin temperature and all that kind of stuff, and shows that there's these definite patterns. So he said, I'd love to do light language people, no problem. And he wanted $50,000 plus expenses for 10 people to put them in the MRI machines and do the PET scans and all that kind of stuff. And there just wasn't the money there, but that's the kind of stuff that I think changes, where you show that we're not crazy people. There is actual evidence that can prove that this is for real. These people are doing exactly what they're saying they're doing. And I think in the end, we're going to win, but we have to raise
light
the consciousness.
always wins.
Yeah. Right always wins.
Yeah.
Eventually. Wait, did you have anything else we'll come back to you, Gail, if you
Okay.
Thank you, though. You're so sweet. You're as sweet as you were when I met you 30 years ago. I wanted to talk to Marilyn because actually I did see Marilyn's face change when she started channeling. Can you give us an example of that, Marilyn?
Yes, I can. I am a trance channel, and I would love to submit to the tests and see what happens. My business partner Joy Roby has wondered the same thing, and see what happens when I channel, because it is a completely different energy that comes in. I am a shapeshifter, excuse me, and I have been in groups where I channel a council of 12 or more, and Sekhmet and Isis, interestingly enough, are on the council. And the first time Sekhmet came in, the people in the group actually saw my head change into the head of a lion, and I still had the body of a woman, and they could see me underneath of that. And I've channeled Mother Mary, and my eyes have turned brown, and my hair has turned brown. Wow. And it is quite amazing when the different energies come forward, because I had not ever witnessed my own channeling for 10 years until I got a business partner, and she videotaped me, and I'm like, wow, that doesn't even look like me. And because the physicality changes so drastically, and with each of the energies that come forward. And
I would love to send you the kits, and you just do it. That's what I said. It's very cheap to do now, and it's very reliable. And if you get a second white crow, everybody's gonna realize like that these people ain't crazy. They're actually doing exactly what they say they're doing.
yeah, I would love to take part in that, because it is one of those things that I believe we are all channels, but not everyone is a trance channel. And when you agree to completely surrender, and your physicality changes. I mean, I go on stage quite a bit, and when people meet me face to face, they realize that I'm only 5 foot. And when I'm on stage, I'm much bigger. It is amazing the transformation that does occur with a channel, and it's very. I would love to take part in that.
Sure.
So thank
and
you.
that's the difference. Like when I spelled it out when I went to Bashar, and people have it's almost like music. There are people who can play music, and then there are musical savants and stuff like that. And it's like channeling. There's different levels. So there's trance channelers is what you're looking for, where it's like a walk-in thing where they actually take over. But a lot of people are just doing relay channeling. But then it's still you. It's still you that's running the show. Your consciousness is there. It's when everything changes, the voice changes, the face changes, and stuff like that. Then you realize like something's going on here that is not definable by the physical world. And that goes to the point that I think it's all going to end up being that there really is no time, no space, no physical world. It's all consciousness, and we're playing this little role where we think it's all, nuts and bolts and players and stuff like that. And it's much more spiritual and much more. And I think that's what they're trying to do. The veil is thinning. That there's more and more of these people around, and they're giving us the opportunity to define this stuff and to prove it. So I would love to do it. And it's like, for whatever it is, it's like $250 or whatever. So like for that, like why I used to think people would say, well, is it worth it? And I'm going like, for $250, that could change the world. It's like, oh my, why would you not? Why would you not invest in it? What could you do that would be more reliable or helpful to the world than to, if you believe this is what's going on, to try to validate it? So let's see what we can do. I'm very happy to hear that, because it's very hard to find a trans channel. You get a lot of people who are channeling.
I have no recollection after I channel, and
that's the key. Sure.
Yeah, and I would love to, because I know Yeshua, Jesus, has come in relatively regularly, so I would love to test it. $250 a pop, with me, with Adironda, and then how it changes when Yeshua is present, and how it changes.
Yes, especially if you get like a male, you're female and you get a male. That's what happened with Jay-Z Knight. It was not only did her DNA change, her sex changed. I mean, and like, how do you explain this? The only problem is that she's the only one on the chart right now, and everybody said, oh, she hoaxed it. And I said, well, it's not that expensive to figure out whether she did it. If we can duplicate it again, everything changes. I just am so excited. But it's the COVID slowed it down, and the people sort of hesitated as to whether they want to do it. But it's a thing where you send in the DNA, you do it, and then you just let me know what the results are, and see what happens.
I would be happy to.
Yeah, super.
I love matchmaking there. I also want to say Jay-Z Knight was also tested with, I guess, a heart monitor and a pulse rate, and she was Jay-Z and went into the Ramtha channel, and her heart rate went up tremendously. She was perspiring. She put on more weight, and the scientist says, and I think this is on tape, either she's sitting there very peaceful and quietly. He says either she's having an intense panic attack or an orgasm, or what she says is real happening. Like there's this being
Yeah.
moving and using her body at a different frequency.
Yeah.
So,
Or she did the thing with Ramtha where he was drinking like 5 bottles of wine while he was channeling, and she's
Right.
this little tiny woman. There's no way she could drink that kind of wine.
that's
And I
right.
did.
Yeah. I did those wine ceremonies with Ramtha. I could not hold the wine as much as Ramtha. But I want to just talk to Jacqueline Smith, who is a light language person for people just tuning in. And I also get to Hildegard and back to people. But Jacqueline, this whole interface between walk-ins and channeling and ETs, I mean, you sort of have, you've done a lot of, you've integrated all of that. So can you unmute yourself and just see what do you get from this conference? What do you want to close with after 3 days of being here?
Wow. First of all, I was, I feel really honored to be a part of it. And, one of the key messages that the star beings have been communicating to me for over 40 years is to remember that we are all one and that there is no other. And that we should invite our star families in. When we invite them in, they will show up in one way or another, whether that be through a dream or a ship or in other ways with a visitation. And again, one of the key messages is to love unconditionally, which has been a message throughout this entire conference. That it's very key at this point that we live from our hearts and really embrace the earth, embrace the entire cosmos with unconditional love.
Could you give us some light language translation of that message so we get it on a vibrational level?
Sure. Let me see what's come through. Lola ki ia naha yo naha nakaria na noya naha. Oea na ia na dodi o naha te kiota laki kiota ta. O shaki kuria to ta I o nasa. I no koe ta ia o wa nahia. Uktari ti anandata. Mikila kore te iraza. Ko ela kata ito uma kata ora kikiana ishi uno dotate I nada kawaya ti no kore te ana koe ana no te anaha ai I o ua ataya yakoria taha ushi I no korea nari ti tomaha ushi I saka I leki ira Umaka hia tata ina na teia daloko e ona hala. Utai I ona la teia o la lea tania kai.
Wow.
Okay, so that was the tall white Zeta masters coming through. Those who I'm connected to as a hybrid. And so their messages are of love and blessings, wanting to remind people that to come from a place of joy, that joy, when we do what we love and we come into our joy, that's a very high frequency. And when we put that energy out, that automatically, the more people that do that, the more the world can change, the more our frequencies are raised, and the more people will actually be ready to meet them, to meet the star beings.
Thank you. Well, Grant was smiling. That was good. Something connected there.
That really was an activation, by the way. I just wanted to say that was an activation. So.
Oh, it was an activation.
Yeah, I know I said blessing, but it's an activation.
Well, it's different because it's a different vibration. I can see like some people were just taking, yeah. But
for opening the heart.
do you want to jump in, Hildegard, and then I'll talk to Yvonne and.
Yeah, I'm just basking in the energies of the day. You know, it's just amazing to, for me, like this is like a 28-year vision coming to fruition. You know, when I walked in the early 90s, and I can relate totally to what Sheila was saying, life fell apart in a matter of, it felt like hours. Nothing made sense anymore. I didn't recognize the clothes on my back, the man I was married to for 10 years, the children I had birthed, the house I lived in. You know, I didn't know breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And suddenly you have all these sensory overloads, call it clairvoyance, telepathy, clairaudience, hypersensitivity to everything on the planet, whether it is food or clothes, whatever it might be, loud noises. And then you have the experts out there telling you it's all in your head, sweetheart. Wait till your kids grow older and it will all go away. Well, at the same token, if we scrape you off the sidewalk another time, you might die of a heart attack. Oh, looks, your cardiovascular system doesn't look so good. And I understand, like at the time I was super angry, but I have deep empathy and compassion now that I feel I sorted things out. And for me, I had to bring my helpers in, which were these children. You know, I so mad at Louis Ma, my Andromedan guide and fellow who seems to orchestrate the walk-in programs from the Andromedans, or as Alex Collier calls them, VAs. Because I wanted them to show up, man. If you're so much smarter than me, why don't you show up in my kitchen? You know, it's like this impatience. Yesterday, I don't know who said it. I think it might have been Maya. Patience. You know, my prayer was, yeah, God, give me patience and give it to me now. So being here today or the last 3 days was just amazing. And it looked like every person who spoke had another piece to add to the puzzle. Incredible. I connected with a lady in the chat just now, first thing in the morning, from Hawaii, who in 1999, and I'll never forget it because that's when we lived in Eastern Ontario. I had to leave the city and lived on 4 acres of land in the middle of a bush and a log home. And we got internet in rural Ontario, there where I was. And the first thing I did was looking for anything, walking. And then I came across hashtag command, and I had no clue what that meant. But they let me open a blog, and then I would say, calling on all walk-ins or looking for walk-ins, because by then, this is a good 8 years later, I had learned that there is such a thing. And then Ruth Montgomery's book showed up, and Shirley MacLaine, and you know, there was no internet in the early 90s, at least not accessible to me. And the university libraries hadn't helped much. I actually registered at York University in Toronto at some point, so I had access to various university libraries. And what I was looking for, whether I was looking in physics or sociology or biology or psychology or whatever, I was so frustrated, I couldn't find anything. And then to connect with Sheila, respectively connect with Grant, this was the wildest one of all, how I ended up in this alien cosmic expo, and I'm kind of
here he is today. That's strange.
And I'm saying to him, oh, like, what is going on here? Who are these people? And he says, oh, well, are you an experiencer? Great. He says, come share your story, you know? I'm thinking, no, listen, not for me. I have been through so much trouble. I keep my head down. I have kids to look after. No way, Jose. And to then have wonderful people in the Toronto Experiences group that Grant encouraged me. You need to have a safe space for people who go through these experiences and they have nowhere to go and they kind of suffer in silence. We need to bring this out and let the world know that there are others, you know, who have these experiences. And I'm just sorry, I'm deeply moved by how what I once in desperation journaled in one of those books, you know, is coming to fruition. And my biggest dream, and I'm an Aquarius, full confession here, has been that all human beings have the courage to look within and are opening themselves up to find the teachers, because whether there's an internet or technology or not, if the people whose shoulders we stand on could do that and have the courage to channel. I'm just thinking of Lee Carroll, or Barbara Marciniak, Bringers of the Dawn, or I mentioned in my presentation yesterday, Barbara and Brannon. I mean, these were people, my heroes, because they were talking about stuff that I didn't find in the university libraries. And it gave me something to hold on to. And if nothing else, I feel we can all trust that we have the ability to find the answers to wherever we are at and what we might be still struggling with. And now there are these groups. We have the Cosmic Souls on Earth group coming Thursday for the walk-in, specifically the experiences group all over the world now, not just in Winnipeg, and in Misha has them down in Nevada, and there are groups in Australia. And, so I think the souls are coming back together. We begin to recognize each other. And this is an amazing, amazing opportunity for us to just hold the light, and all will be well.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for being there. So Grant got you out of the closet, huh?
Somewhat, yeah. Let's put it this way. He gave me the courage to take my little toe out, yeah.
Well,
it was kind of a weird situation that I used to go to Toronto to lecture, and Toronto is like they sometimes think it's the capital of the universe, and they're big money. It's like New York, and I'd go there and I would lecture, and all these experiencers would come to me and say, "Oh, tell me this story," and then I'd say, "Well, have you got a group?" No, and there's no group. And then I kept saying, like, come on, Toronto's got everything. It's got Major League Baseball, basketball, whatever, and it's like, got no experiencer group. And that's what sort of frustrated me. There were so many experiencers, and there was literally no place for these people to go.
And you know what's ironic, Grant? We ended up right in the money capital of Toronto on Bay Street.
That's right. That's right.
This group.
Well,
thanks to you, Riley, from thatchannel.com. By the way, I need to put that out. This is the one and only online television station here in Toronto. That channel, not this one, it's that. Look it up. They have a great YouTube channel, and there, I think some of our experiencer speakers at least are on there yet too.
Beautiful. You did a good job. You did a good job.
Good. Well, I want to talk to Yvonne, because she is also a light language person, and very eloquent light language, if I only knew what it meant, but I could feel it.
So is Hildegard.
So is Hildegard, yes. Well, we did a collective the other day, was it yesterday, where everyone just light language all together in a little free-for-all. But Yvonne, do you have some communication, download, transmission you want to share? Or just English also, whatever.
Sure. I have been kind of wiped out ever since Rob was on this afternoon. As soon as he started channeling, I went, I couldn't tell you anything he said because I was sound asleep. And as soon as he finished, he's like, wow, I missed the whole thing.
Well, you didn't miss it, obviously. You got it.
I was getting it on a deeper level, but I really wanted to hear what he said. So I'll have to watch the replay. Anyway, it has been such a pleasure and a privilege to be able to be part of this team this weekend, to share and to learn and to be blessed by each and every one of you. And so I would like to offer also a blessing in light language, just to kind of offer my appreciation for each and every one of you, and to send you a blessing so that we continue to grow together. Ramasilo kara aidora sondo anda hinda ada tukuro radiso rada kiram nonomaleato korata ka shondara valota kihani hida sodara morolote kiron ormatakuri shiona laha andalo kurada de solehan handalo da sikahi hola tataroto shinamaloka harata ki isikurubu kiomon namane namana sukurubi atotu siana tatotu dia shatatu shatatu ya maye no maye urutulu rutu sushitika kakania urutukuru ru. 'Cause 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 'cause
Alodo soko na ni hini ni hini ni kiniko. Na eleta taravaka ishkana makate kinaka. Yeah.
I felt that in my body, actually. It's like went right through.
A lot of times I feel it in my solar plexus, and I've joined in tonight about the time Marilyn was speaking about how she watched herself for the first time, and it's like, wow, I really do look different when I'm channeling. I feel different. Do you also feel different when you're channeling? It's like, when you're just puttering about in the house and you're speaking light language, and it's just like edifying and lifting up your own vibration. But then when you're bringing something through for a group or for a client or a particular event, something shifts within the body physical, within the biology, and you can feel, I don't know, is it a walk-in when you're channeling? Some of you were kind of tossing that up and thinking that it was like something stepped in. It does feel that way sometimes, like I'm observing myself. I never know what sound or what tone or what dialect or frequency is going to come through, if it's going to be high-pitched or low-pitched. I just let it go. Does anybody else have that experience?
Well, yeah, Jacqueline.
And Marilyn?
But I think the great thing about this conference is that we're going into new territory. There's no definitions. We are defining something that is a part of consciousness in general, and we're kind of creating the mold here because it's all so undefined. Maybe in the Tibetan tradition or one of these ancient Hindu traditions, they have some definition, but we are making it up as we go along, basically. So, but thank you, Yvonne. Maybe Marilyn wants to channel something through, and then maybe Yvonne. And Marilyn, anything you want to bring through?
Well, well, they are always indeed ready. And again, I want to thank each of you. This has been spectacular, and you are indeed paving new territory. Sheila and Alan and Neil I was a part of the Walk-ins for Evolution group in the 90s. And then I had my own walk-in conference in the early 2000s, 2010, 2011, and 12. And so it has been quite an undertaking. And let me just see if I can get out of the way. And I'm so excited. And see if they have anything higher to say. Ah, so it is good day to you, huh? Yes, so for those of you whom we have not met, we are a Ronda. And we bring with us an entire council of beings of light that are here on your behalf. You see, our purpose as each of the channels that are communicating with you in the last 3 days, our purpose is to help you individually feel what it is feeling like to be held in true unconditional love. Your energy and your connection with that love will shift the consciousness of this planet. Your energy, as it is focusing, will shift the soul of humanity. As you know, Master Yeshua is on our council, and as he says he's not coming back, he's already here in your heart. Dearly beloved, you are each the magnificence that was me on this planet. You each have come in with an effective message. I implore you to take your message beyond the confines of this electronic mode, but to bring your message of love. That is all. That is what I said, and that is what each of you have indeed said. I am honored by your presence. Adasa Elohim Mara. So, we are back, and you know that with that energy, there is never a warning or energy to see when anyone from the council is coming in. But we think the message was clear. You each have a gift for humanity. You each have that energy of clarifying the frequency of you. Some with their ancient indigenous stories, some with the energy of love and light in the most gentle, lilting light language that there is. Some in that frequency. So, dearest beings of light, know who you are. Know the energy as it is coming through. You see, when you are wondering who you are, then there's a confusion. We know those who are speaking know who they are, and those who are indeed listening and taking part will know more about themselves than they may have ever known before. Whether you are a walk-in, a starseed, or whatever, we believe you all came through the Pleiadian gateway to get to this planet once again at this magnanimous time of shift. So for that and your presence, we are grateful. We are grateful. We love you so much. We see you. We know you. And we bid you namaste. Namaste. Hoo-hoo. Coming back. Thank you. That was quite a surprise. I was not aware that that was the message. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, so your face definitely did change for me. Yvonne, do you want to bring anything through, and then maybe Gail could bring something? Barbara, Yvonne?
Absolutely. I want to remind everyone that the Metatronic spiral we talked about earlier today maintains our ancestral memory, and that is the potential to evolve and graduate from this planet. And this can be very simply activated through heart-centered living presence. This is the simplest way of activating our movement towards the full light spectrum. And we can feed Numis Om through this. And this is something that the Awakened Ones really taught, the heart-centered living presence. You know, this is the secret right here. Okay, and that's what Yeshua delivered as a message to us. He said, do this in remembrance of me. This is the direct ritual of communion. So I invite all of us to actually open and commune and reside in our hearts in this moment. And I would like to transmit the frequency of the Emstra through my aura, through this technology into your field, and bring in the presence of the Johanna, the sixth age of the pure gem, And I'd like to share this through the Ayumi, through the light language of the blood. And I'll be using English. And I really just want us to open and be in our hearts. I invite us all to be in our hearts in this moment. And I offer this Ayumi. This is I, this is you, this is me. This is us. This is the sacred language of the heart. And I ask us all to pour our love through the vessel of this DNA and into the grid of this planet, into a grid known as the hexayam. The hexayam connects to something called the hollow crystal. And this is where the 5 gems that the lotus loci spin into our blood. It feeds the Ayumi, and it feeds the creation of the star mist and the sapphire cells. And this is what allows us to resurrect the grid of this planet through the hexayam. So tap into the inner language of your heart in this moment. If you feel called to channel your own light language as a transmission, to feed this seed, to call in the matrix angels and the high devas and citizens that communicate through the Ayumi as we spin together this new light language in this new earth hologram of Numus Om. And I'd like to call in my ancestors. I would like to call in the Mazur and the Olai and the Guanche to be with us here and now, all streams of one single continuous thread. I'd like to give thanks. I'd like to thank you, Hanukatu Mera, Great Solar Lord. Thank you for keeping this covenant. Thank you for holding this order of the pure gem. Thank you for allowing the blue pharaohs and the light Templars to stream through this vessel and all vessels who wish to approach in grace and reverence to receive your codes and your teachings and to unroll these scrolls so these gems might infuse our blood and infuse this planet and infuse the new Adam Kadmon template with the templates of wholeness and peace and compassion and the strength of the pure light, the presence of the heart-centered light. And I'd like to offer these blessings to the 5 Ra'im, to the Lemurian time walkers that are assisting us in repairing the past and therefore securing our future. Thank you for emanating through the Osarim, the grids of this planet. Thank you for your work. Thank you for this striking of the solar cord that reconnects us to the Kolob, the great central sun, and onwards to the infinite realms of embrace within the solar consciousness. We are ready to receive your light. We are ready to activate the capstone. We welcome the opening of the Telos Arkara and the reparation of the Pleiades, of Orion and Sirius, and their trinary dance as we heal these lineages. And thank you for gracing us with the Samnatha, the ray, the new ray that is awakening on this planet. And thank you to all of you. And know that the Emshra is with you and in you and working through you as we redeem the light on this planet.
Oh. Thank you. Well, Rob just joined us, but I wanted to talk to Gail. We'll get to Rob. Thank you for that. Beautiful. That was a shift. Gail, you know, when I look at Gail, because I haven't seen much in 30 years, it feels like another lifetime that we had together, Gail.
Yes.
And here we are. But could you bring in some of the Isis energy as well?
Sure.
Okay.
And before I get started, I was guided to share that Isis is an aspect of the divine feminine, and it is the different aspects and the qualities that are required at different times as to who comes through. So Isis being an energy also is an essence of being and an essence of that, the oneness and of the sacred feminine.
Mm.
And it is, dear ones, that you have all chosen to be present at this time. Those that are the way showers, that are taking the chance, taking the courage, forging your way to be in the spotlight. At times it is difficult, and at times it can be dangerous to the physical body. But when you trust divine, as divine does not ask you to do anything without being fully protected. And if it is for you to be asked to stand on a stage and share your essence, we are with you. If you are asked to go to an area of the world that requires shifting of the land, it is that we are with you. It is a sacred essence, and it is an honor, though it is not an honor in ego.
Mm.
Too many have fallen to the chains of ego, as you are seeing in your experience of Earth in these times. Ego and fear and survival are energies that are keeping you anchored in the third dimensional realm. It is that your true presence is the essence of unconditional love and that oneness. And it is for you to ask to be that light, that energy. It is not for you to be in fear and in survival. It is a perception of your current state, of your third dimensional reality that keeps you anchored. It merely takes asking. And once you ask, you plant the seed. And in the seed of planting, you begin the manifestation and you begin the memory of your activation.
Mm.
Many people, not just humans, but beings on this planet, have come forth at this time to raise the frequency and show others that it is possible to do so. what you have read in sacred text and in the Bible and stories you have heard, they are not stories, they are recounting experiences that are actually true. And it is said that all is required is for you to ask. And for so many, you have not yet done so. And it is not for one to come about and tap you on the forehead, tap you on the heart to raise your energy. It is for you to take responsibility for raising the frequency for yourself. No one person can hold the energy for you but you. And it is in the transition of light, when you move into the higher realms, you can guide and hold space for others as they come to that higher level. But it is cruel for someone to think they can take another being into a higher realm. It is not a grace. It is grace to show and the other person that they have the ability and the capability and the self-love to raise their frequency on their own. So we ask that you take time each day to connect with your divine I am. Allow yourself to believe that you can access the realm of imperishable stars, that you can raise the frequency of your physical matter to that of light and beyond. And it is truly a bliss and a joy that cannot be put in a third dimensional wording, as those experiences are in a higher realm of 5, 6, 7, 8. We are in those higher realms in our dream time and meditation time. And it is with the change of 1212 and of the frequencies with the Star of Bethlehem and the portals that are opening and the shifts that are taking place and the spin of the earth. Many aspects of our being are culminating at this time, allowing you to find what resonates in you so you can let go of the tether of the third dimensional realm and allow yourself to soar into the higher frequencies. Fear not moving into the unknown of the higher realm. It is joy. And when you experience that, the essence of your being will be felt and experienced from those around you. And it will not be for you to have to speak to them. How it is done, they will feel the presence and essence of your being. So ask and allow yourself to move into the higher realms. Allow yourself to become light, to experience the kinetic energy and the omnipresent spirit of divine one essence. That is who you are. This physical body is just a condensed version of light that you have chosen, and it is a perception that keeps you where you are. If you do not like the circumstances in your life, shift your perception and raise your frequency. Move yourself into unconditional love and self-love, and those around you will move with you as well. To change the world, you must change yourself. And so it is. We ask that you hold the essence, and those that are holding the essence, we give great gratitude. We are here for all of you, those who are yet awakened, those who are just knowing and recognizing that, yes, there is more to life than this physical existence. And those who are taking the charge and holding the light and bringing forth the way, shine bright, walk forth in divine love and divine grace. And so it is. Blessed be.
Thank you.
Whew.
Thank you, Gail.
It gets me coming back.
Well,
Do you want to, I think we're going to try to bring up Emma.
Oh, the video of Emma, and then we
Emma
talked to.
was not
Yes.
able to join us tonight, but she did send a video. She wanted to say a few words.
Okay, and we also want to talk to Rob and Darlene and Rebecca and Barbara again to say, oh, here's the video of Emma.
Oh, sweet.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Ellen. You have done such an amazing job this weekend. You've been sharp and asking all those beautiful questions. I really admire that. It takes a lot of energy, a lot of focus. And Sheila, you've been sitting there smiling your brightest smile all weekend, asking questions, being there for everyone, responding in private messages, and you've just been so present all weekend long. So a really good job. I'm so proud of all of you. And then beautiful Neil, you've done such an amazing work as well, putting this conference together. I'm proud of you. You're such a great man. You have so much inside of you. Just let it out, let it be free. And Nicole, my friend, my sister, much love to you. And everyone else that have had the lecture, I enjoyed everything. There are a couple of things I have missed, but I'm going to look it or watch it in replay. And everyone being here, listening to all of us, all us amazing, beautiful people, a little bit crazy maybe, or maybe not. It doesn't really matter. We are just natural. We are just normal, every one of us. I'm sending you a greeting and a closing statement here from Norway. I'm Emily Livingston, if someone don't know that. I'm here in my beautiful backyard, and behind me you can see some of the mountains that I like to be part of. Far, far over there I have a place. Over there. I can't believe I can do that actually. You can see the sun is setting right now. This weekend we have spoke so much about love and many other things. And the way I always seen love from I was a child of is that the love that we humans speak about many times, and I'm not saying all the time, but a lot of times, is that basically that love between two humans, you know, that typical movie sweet, bittersweet love. And that is not the love that I'm talking about. That's a great love to, you know, to fall in love with someone and get those feelings and, you know, care about people and take care of those that are around you and yourself and your animals. I have a little dog with me here and my fiancé as well. So all that is so good, but you know, that true love, that deep connection, that's life itself. It's life itself. It's the light within all of us, and that light needs to be in balance. So you see this darkness and the light that we are all talking about today in this world today, it's one and the same, basically. But it's when that darkness gets in unbalance and the light gets in unbalance, because lights can get in unbalance as well. That is when we are doing the wrong choices, because we can't sit and say that there is nothing wrong, nothing right, because it's not right to rape a child. It's not right to murder your neighbor. It's not right to steal or whatever, you know. And you can see it in nature as well. There is this cycle in nature, and remember that we are nature as well. And this cycle, this cycle of being born and live and die, which is reality, just a transformation. We just have to embrace it, because that is the balance between the darkness and the light, the love that we are talking about, because love is life, and life is God or source, where we all are from, where we are all here right now, because we've never been separated from it. And when I see nature and I see that there are happening things in nature like earthshakes, and some people, they say that oh, this is, nature is also destroying, but it's not really destroying, it's just changing. But if we human, we are interfering and we are creating something because we are interfering in this beautiful harmony, this balance of nature, then it's not balance, then it's not love, then it's not of pure light or pure darkness, then it's not in balance. And that is what we have to strive for always, to be in this balance. Just embrace everything within us. You can't be a light without the darks, and you can't be dark without the light. It's just how it is. But you can be in a huge unbalance within the dark, and you can be in a huge unbalance within the light. And I speak a lot about this more in depth, and you can come to my YouTube channel, White Avatar, and I'll start teach more about these things. And everything I ever learned, I learned from myself and from my own experiences. As many already know, I'm not vaccinated. I've been kept away from books and radio and television and all of that stuff. So I don't read in books. I don't try to find out by that. I try to find out by living, by the true light and by the true darkness in all of us, which you are all part of. So come if you want to listen. I'm sharing it for free. My YouTube channel will open very soon, and hopefully I'll make beautiful, beautiful pictures and videos from the beautiful nature. This is quite close to civilization, where I am now, but my goal is to go far up there. Anyway, I love all of you. Take good care of yourself. I care about you. I care about all the aspects of you, the darkness and the light. I don't care. Just keep it in balance. Have a beautiful, beautiful year. This is going to be amazing. But we have to recognize the darkness as well. Don't be afraid of it. Love you.
Wow. Beautiful.
Oh, it's amazing.
She was a great surprise to have here all the way. I never knew of her before. So all right, maybe Rob, since you tuned in first, and then Darlene and Rebecca, anything you want to sum up the conference and your experience and what you got from this?
Yeah, absolutely. First, I just wanted to thank all of you guys for putting this together. Sheila, amazing. Getting a chance to meet her through Miguel while doing the book was great. Me and Miguel have known each other for a while. Neil, I've known forever. He did some spoken word and raps on some of the events that I did before. Him and his wife and his friend Peter, all great people. I've got to meet you, Alan, too. It's great. All the speakers here today were great. All the speakers for the last 3 days have been amazing. So I'm just glad to be part of it. And thank you guys for being so welcoming and so loving and bringing this high vibrational information and this loving information and the light information to the public. I know that's what a lot of you guys who have been on this conference have been doing for 20, 30, 40 years. And my heart goes to you guys for doing that. And thank you guys all for that. So, the only thing I really can share is just my gratitude and appreciation for being here right now. My life has been a life of craziness, from ups and downs, from the time I was born till now. Even in the now moments, we all deal with our human stuff and our day-to-day discord that we can have sometimes. The truly greatest thing that I found is that the spiritual journey lies in your earth experience and connected. I liked a lot of what I heard about balance and a lot of what I heard about balancing the light and the dark. I think that that's a really brilliant and beautiful part of your experience, because a lot of people I've noticed in our community can be super grounded and not very etherical, or super etherical and not very grounded. But I find my own comfort zone, or at least my balance zone, right around the middle as best as I can. I know I can't do it all the time for sure. But that's where I find the best balance, being able to live my life on earth without everything driving me crazy, and also be able to do my spirituality without going too far out of my body and not being present here to do the stuff that I want to do on earth. My understanding has always been a lot of what Treb and Ardif have shared, because, Treb's helped teach me a lot of things, and art just reconfirms those things. If we're a soul doing a physical body journey, then that's what the journey is about, is being on earth, being here with all of you guys, and doing what you can to make the best out of it, and to make the best relationships, the best experiences, the brightest versions of all those things. So this is what I appreciate. I appreciate having the world look like it's going crazy around me, because I can look at that and find all the problems that I personally have been going through and find reflections in those. And those reflections teach me a lot about who I am, where I stand on a lot of things, even when I think I'm leaning one way in a certain mindset, and find out, you know, through something crazy that happens that, wow, I really didn't feel or think that way at all during that time when I thought I might. It's a beautiful thing. As far as channeling goes, that's probably the thing that I feel that I contribute the most to the collective, as a part of my own role of sharing. And this is the thing that I feel is most important right now for everyone. There's so many people now who don't have a voice, or don't feel like they have a voice, who try to share their perspectives, their ideas, and their thoughts, and either feel like they're saying things and they're not getting heard, or feel like they don't have a voice at all. Every one of us has something important to say. Every one of us has something important to teach. Everyone has something important to learn. And if we stop assigning the roles of teachers and students to people, and if we stop assigning the roles of master and, you know, student, we find actual balance in the things that we can do in our experience too. By sitting here listening to all that I could listen to today, and all that I had the chance to listen to today, I learned a lot about some of the things I feel and some of the things I've been experiencing and not knowing why I'm feeling, and learning, oh my God, there's a reason that I've got this belief, I've got this thought, I've got this perspective. And it all balances back out to giving your voice out. And I think that's what this whole next year is going to be about. That's what the spiritual community should always be about. And that's what we're always in strive to do, is to allow the voice of everybody to have matter, and allow everybody to feel safe enough to speak. And I think this community beautifully embraces that, as all of you guys who worked to put this together have allowed people to interact and allowed the speakers to speak about things regardless of how different or similar they might be, and allowed a place for people who have beliefs that are far distant from the people in majority of the collective to actually be able to share that. So I'm just glad I'm a part of it. I really think that that's what this year is about for everybody, is speaking and listening. Those are the two things all of us got to do more. It's how we heal our collective. It's how we share the vibration, upliftment with others. And that's how we end up coming back together as a planet of people who really wants to make things work out, solve the problems of the collective, solve our personal problems, solve our neighborly problems, and solve anything that comes in front of us. So thank you guys, and I appreciate being here.
Thank you and your friends for being a part of this. That's great.
Absolutely.
We'll do it again sometime soon.
I'd love to.
Wait, Darlene, are you free to talk? Are you busy channeling?
I am. I just want to appreciate the fact that this was pulled together, and that Sheila wrote an amazing book that I finally finished last night. So thank you, Sheila. I had to recap everybody. I wanted to know exactly what they were doing. So I appreciate what it took to make this happen. And what I'd like to do right now, because the council has been very active in the last 3 days, so I'd like to tune into them and see where they are.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Nice.
So as we come together in this large group of humanity, not only within this particular group that we are holding together in this conference, but also in the other groups that consist of many other humans on your planet, we have come to realize that you are wide open for an invitation for us. We are you, you are us, and we need that invitation. We need that choice to come forward so that we can join you and embrace what humanity is now going through. by combining your heart and your minds in that figure 8 and bringing that choice point together so that you are in a discerning place. We can join you in that understanding, that knowing of who you really are and where you have come from. There are 2 lines that are running on your planet at this time. One is the ancient line that has deep roots. That line we suggest, and we honor the fact that it has existed for you, but we also honor the fact that that time period is crumbling. It is crumbling under your feet. And it is time that you brought this in. What you have brought in to this conference, this particular time, you've been waiting thousands of years, many of you, for what this means to humanity. What this means to have others listen to those that are already connected, that are already in a deeper understanding in their heart of who they are. That this opens for them. This gives them the opportunity for voice and choice. So we honor that as you move into the other timeline that has been created for you. This timeline, it contains masters and teachers, multidimensional beings. It contains the history. It contains the Akashic records that all hold you. They hold you in the deep heart of who you are and who we know you to be. We love you. We honor you. We know that you have the potential because we have seen your future. We bring this together in knowing, in the simple fact that you were created in love and we are love. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Darlene.
Yeah, Sheila hasn't seen me do that.
Oh, that was awesome.
That's great. How do people find you? I guess for everyone, Sheila, people can reference them where on the website or?
You know, they can actually, if they go to walk-ins, WALK, -INS.org, they can find all of the people in the book listed with their bios and their contact information at the bottom. And I think almost everybody here has sent a request to be on the Cosmic Souls on Earth. So I'm going to also send out Maya's teaching as an attachment, and I will list all of the speakers and give their contact information that way as well.
Great. Okay.
Nice.
Rebecca hasn't said anything since she's been reappearing here. Rebecca, talk about the conference, talk about what your impressions of this conference was and the one that's coming up, you know?
Okay. Alan, thank you so much for all of your support, and Neil, just amazing. Sheila called me on the phone and we were talking and she's like, oh, we were talking about the Institute for Exo Consciousness, IXO, and she goes, I keep getting this P, I keep getting this P, this letter P. And I said, oh, yeah, okay, good. And I had been simultaneously thinking about Neil and portals, and all of a sudden she calls me back a day later, she goes, it's portal to ascension. And all of a sudden everything just came together. So Sheila, this is just, I'm just humbled by the meaning of the 3 days. I mean, that is such a spiritual high level number that you put together today. And thank you so much. I don't really share a lot about it, but my early life, I went to seminary and I'm actually ordained in the United Methodist Church. And I spent many years as a chaplain professionally. And I just kept trying so hard to fit in, but I kept thinking, where are the healers? There aren't, no one's standing up here in this church and saying they're a healer, and nobody's talking about channeling or prophesying or using their intuition, and nobody is talking about their soul, like their soul. And everything was just filtered through theology and philosophy and, you know, ancient texts and doctrine and disciplines. And so eventually I just kind of gave up on that paradigm and walked away. And all of that was in this conference today. And I love how this was such on the outside world is kind of like, we spiritually talk about, I'm of the world, but I'm not of the world. I'm in the world, but I'm not of the world. And so much energetically is happening around us. And I keep coming back to that quote that I use, that we as a community are small islands of coherence in a sea of chaos. And we stay afloat and we navigate. And it really doesn't matter where the tsunami is. It doesn't matter where 1 or 2 or 5 of the sides are. We are absolutely moving forward. And the Institute for Exoconsciousness wants to bring forth, I guess, not only survival of humans on this planet, but also just loving humans so much that we do everything we can such that exoconscious humans can be that link here on Earth out to the cosmos, and just care about all of humanity enough to make that happen. And that means living fully in the 3D. That means having that 3D be part of a body experience and loving it and honoring it and not wanting to ignore it or dissociate from it or deny it, but live in the fullness of all of that in order to be a fully cosmic being simultaneously. And we want to be there to support what we call exoconscious entrepreneurs, people who are bringing forth inventions and ideas and innovations into our culture today to build what we call an exoconscious civilization. So if you think of us, in a sense, think of us in the 3D. So anytime you hold a book, like I just happen to have Sheila's book here. Anytime you hold a book or you hold a scientific invention, or you hold an idea in your mental space, or you hold a textbook that's training you something new from exoconscious people, or you stand in a building and you feel the texture of the walls around you that was built with a cosmic mind, or you see Darlene's art painted with a cosmic mind, or you hear music composed by a cosmic mind. Just think of IXO, think of the Institute for Exoconsciousness, because we hold you as much as you are holding that piece of 3D reality. So thank you.
Talk about the conference.
Yes, we're going to be having a conference. I'm the worst with dates. I think it's, thank you so much. Neil saved me. Saturday, February 6th. Darlene's going to be part of it. Maya's going to be part of it. And Sheila's going to be part of it. So, and Alan's going to also, and Neil. So yeah, it should be an exciting day. I look forward to, it's going to be a training day. So what we're going to offer is exoconscious training. We believe that we're seeding the next generation, actually training the next generation of exoconscious entrepreneurs. So join us, please. It's going to be exciting.
Thank you, Rebecca. It is exciting. Exoconsciousness is a growing movement, just like this conference is a growing movement, and we're restructuring the definitions of consciousness, really. I think that's what we're doing here. Oh, Nicole, yes, hi, good to see you again. Did you had something to say, and then I'll...
Oh, I just wanted to say what a riot this was. I can't believe how much fun I had, how much I learned. Neil, I would say your presentation was the highlight for me. You put together, you synthesized so much information in such a brilliant way. And then I think that was also reflected in what Gail presented. I think, Gail, I don't know if you got to hear Neil's presentation, but there were so many synchronicities there. I would love to see you guys co-present or present one after, like asynchronous, like one after another, because that was blowing my mind. And I think the framework that we're being downloaded with to understand what we're actually, coming into. Then the second highlight of my conference was Alan saying to Neil, I didn't know what an incredible genius you were. That was so funny. I learned so much. And I just, Marilyn hearing from Marilyn is such a highlight for me. Also, Marilyn, I don't know you very well, but I always love hearing you present, because I feel like you're a window for me. Like, I feel like if I am where you are, at some point in my life, I will have lived a successful life. So thank you for that. And I was just meeting with my meditation team, and we were just sort of reflecting about like the energy that's moving right now. And one of the girls, she just said, sometimes when you're healing yourself, because I think I'm constantly a person who's re-looking about how to serve more and how to serve better, and how do I know that what I'm doing is actually making a difference. And this was the theme I heard this weekend. And she wrapped up our conference, and she wasn't at the conference. She said, when you are healing yourself, that is the ultimate service that you can give to others. And I thought that was really beautiful. So, and I also want to say, Rob, God, brother, you did a great job. Ardif, I could listen to Ardif all day. And when Ardif was talking about the layers of density and the transition, like that also really added to my understanding. So I feel like I've been downloaded with all of these like new ways of looking at our collective experience as exoconscious, or as walk-ins, or as like co-creators of a new sort of way of being. And I feel really empowered. And everybody here and everybody that has presented has really shifted my consciousness in a really important way. So I feel like I've been activated. I feel like I've resolved things that I was carrying, and I feel like I've been given a new direction. So in my language, we say miigwech, hapchich miigwech, gakina. Thank you to everyone. I've really grown in the past 3 days. So thank you for the experience.
Wow, that sounds like light language too. Maybe it came from that. Yes. Barbara, do you have any reflections on the weekend and anything you want to add and share and what's coming up for you?
Sure. Well, as I said earlier in the weekend, I am not a walk-in myself, but for a number of years, I've had tremendous appreciation for those of you who have walked in from other realms. And I honor you deeply. And I've learned so much from you, which hopefully I'll be able to share just with many people just as I go about my life. So I want to give sincere thanks to all of you walk-ins and enlightened ones for coming to Earth in the way that you did. I mean, wow, that is an amazing process. I mean, such a leap of adjustment that you took. And I really honor it. And all of you who are here just have shown that you've come through all those massive adjustments and are going on absolutely beautifully with your service. So I thank you for coming to not only this conference, but coming to Earth for the rest of your bodily, physical lives, and for enlarging our consciousness, our perceptions, our understanding, our awareness of our multidimensional reality. And great blessings are happening on Earth with all of you being here, while at the same time, all of these incredible oppositional dualities are going on, as we very well know. And they are raging on. Seems like it's intensifying day after day. But you are all bringing wonderful walk-ins, wonderful blessings to us. And so are the star children and the starseed adults and the ET human hybrids. So each one of you are helping us in humanity to be more loving and to realize that indeed we are all one. That is, we humans, you walk-ins, all the other intelligent beings in all the other realms, we are one. Thank you so much.
That's so true. I'm glad you mentioned that, because we forget everyone in their own little separate boxes, but it's really one box here on my screen. And
It is
one consciousness.
much bigger than we ever imagined.
Right.
Speaking for myself and most of the people I know.
And consciousness is so much more vast. This conference has, well, Sheila, do you want to share? Should I share? I mean, go
I
ahead.
just want to thank everyone for coming and for giving it your all, for sticking in there for these 3 days. For all of the audience, I have received so many beautiful letters and so many things on Messenger. I really, really appreciate it so much, all your kind words. You know, the goal of this was to be able to get the information about walk-ins out, to be able to help people who may be going through this type of situation, looking for community, looking for validation that no, you're not crazy. You might feel crazy, but no, you're not crazy. And so I am just so excited to see how everyone has come together. And I had so many letters that people had said, I feel like I've now found my home. I'm coming home. I've found my family. And so we are going to continue the conversation on this Thursday. If you haven't signed up and you want to, go to cosmicsoulsonearth.com and please drop your name in. I will be sure to get a hold of you. It take me a little bit, but I'm going to grab all the information from all of the speakers. I'll share that with everyone. And Maya's teaching on the Talika. I will be sure to send that out. And if you like what you see here, definitely go sign up for the IXO conference. We're going to continue that discussion. You're going to find all of the support, all the resources that are out there to help you as you are beginning to integrate. And so you've got a wonderful resource there. Also, I just want to, I guess I'll turn it back over to Alan, and then we have Phil who's going to give us closing prayer, and then Neil is going to rock us to a different vibration with some more of his awesome poetry. So just my heart's running so full and just overflowing. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Sheila,
Thank
for
you.
connecting,
Thank you very much.
bringing all these beautiful people together. And for me, I learned a lot more than I thought, another conference, but no, this was different. This was dimensions of spirituality that I hadn't considered before, and levels of consciousness. We say it's all consciousness, but when we dissect it, we see it's consciousness is a lot more developed and complex than just this physical world. It's like, in the physical world, your radio is just tuned to one dial. When we take in this whole realm of differentiations of consciousness and channeling, walk-ins and ETs, and I don't know, whoever else is out there, interdimensionals, it's like there are so many stations, so many internet frequencies that this incredible vehicle that we have can start to pick up. We are picking up all those signals. We just need, as Bashar says, permission slips to do that. And then you bring in past lives and experiences and your own soul's experience. I mean, thank you for allowing me to share that lifetime I had. It was the first time I've shared that publicly, and it was a release of something, of old tensions, it was like a healing on a soul level for me to have that happen here with people who understand. And it's also just great to see old friends and meet new friends. There's Gail from Egypt, and Barbara from England, and Phil from my living room couch, It's all great to see, and Neil, my good friend. So this was a expansion on a personal level, as a human, as a spiritual being, as a, I don't know, ET consciousness, and whatever else we want to call ourselves. One little commercial, look for my book I'm putting in the chat, Making Contact, coming out on Amazon. look, and I especially had an argument with the publishers to put the asterisk in the middle of making and contact, because that was the symbolic point of contact. And we're all here to really make contact with the soul, with our vehicle. And that's what something came through in this conference that taught me another level of who I was, and meeting people on their soul level. Somehow each person who talked, their soul was more available, more, it wasn't just like, oh yeah, this is who I am and this is what I do. It's like there was permission to be and express something more. And that was what was so beautiful about this. And Sheila, you really had a beautiful vision, and we brought it through. Yes. Me and Neil and everyone here and everyone online and everyone watching. So I just feel happy. I feel more in touch with whatever love is. And let's do it again next week. No.
No, we've got the IXO conference coming up.
I know, but I think this should be an annual event.
Annual event for sure.
Definitely. And because we're just breaking ground to establish a new literacy, if you a literacy of the soul. And this is something that hasn't been done before, and everyone who's contributed here is part of this new realities, right. I'd like to say. So thank you again for allowing me to be part of it. Neil, we have a lot more work to do and a lot more conferences. And Sheila, thank you for bringing everything you do and everyone here. So
I would like to give one final plug.
Sure.
I forgot. I know I've mentioned it once or twice, but all of the people that are here at the conference can be found in the walk-ins, the Cosmology of the Soul book, and we all share our stories. We have a little bit of information, I think, about everything that we have talked about this weekend. And some of the people that wrote to me said they've been using it as a reference guide and going to different people's. They've been kind of highlighting, because it's like, oh, this person experienced this and this person experienced that. And they put it all together and they say, that's my experience. And so it's been really exciting to see. So everyone here was in the book. They graciously gave up their time. And again, I thank you guys for doing that. I really appreciate it. And so, Neil, I think that's all. Let's see, we'll go to Phil next. And yes. Phil's going to offer a prayer.
Phil Gruber, you have to unmute yourself, Phil. Yeah. Thank you.
I'll tell you, walk-in Cosmology of the Soul, that should be next to in the drawer next to every bed in every motel and hotel around the world. Yeah. Get rid of Gideon's Bible. Well, God bless Gideon and his Bible, but I think walk-in Cosmology of the Soul belongs in every motel and hotel room.
Sweetie.
I want to give a really special shout out to Alan. I mean, those of us that have known Alan for all these years, he's facilitated so many of us finding our voice. Well, I hope this weekend really firmly established that Alan has a voice. He's got a major voice.
Well, Phil, you helped me get that voice, actually. I told that story.
Well,
I said, how do you lecture? Phil says, you just open your mouth and start talking. I said, really? That's how you do it? And that's how I'm doing it. So
well, I do on my futon back, but I will tell you, if you can make it up to 6 flights, if you can make it up to 6 flights to your apartment, you've earned the rest.
Well, you took my futon, Phil. That was all right. Okay, never mind.
I want to catch this all on the replay, because I'm here in Singapore and I was literally asleep for most of the conference. I mean, literally.
Now you're awake.
Is Grant still here? Isn't it wonderful watching Grant listen to light language? Yeah. It's like I remember like Christmas morning. It's like that look on his face. It's just so full of wonder and amazement. And have you ever noticed how much light language now, much of it is sounding the same, very familiar? Because the light languages that we're speaking now are closest to our mother tongues, you see. Pleiadian, Syrian, Arcturian light language. They're the closest to us genetically. That's a whole nother story.
I want to
But,
just thank Jody Sirota for also kicking off the conference with her light language initiation.
Beautiful.
Jody
Yes.
is something else. And I hope that we can put this conference together. Sheila, did you talk about the WISH conference? It's our wish now to do a conference for walk-ins, indigos, star seeds, and hybrids. WISH. And I'll tell you, when that comes off, you better upgrade your Zoom plan. That's all I've got to say. You know?
We get a little word from Jody before you do your prayer?
Hi, Jody.
Jody, say hello for a second. Jody is a walk-in. She's going to be at our next conference. Unmute yourself, Jody. That's why we can hear.
Hi.
You want to finish off where you began with a little light language closing, and then Phil, and then Neil, and if anything?
Okay. First, I just want to thank everyone for even having me be part of it, but even just to be with all these people. I wrote on the thing that I feel like I kind of came back home. I found all these people that the whole conference was done so well and so flowingly. I've been to a lot of other ones where they were not as flowing as this. And it just felt really clean and pure. And I like that it was all about the heart, because my work, a lot of my work is about opening the gateways to the multidimensional heart. So I felt all that love from everyone and give it back to everyone. And all the walk-in information, that for me, I've also had my own experiences many years ago and a few times after that of other types of walk-ins. But Sheila helped me when speaking to her when I first met her recently to just really, there's a certain piece of this that I wasn't quite sure about, and it really helped me. So I just want to thank you for that. And I want to speak to you more if I can. And Alan, you and Phil have been connected for many, many years. So thank you for even having me be doing the prayer. That was really nice of you to have me be part of it. So
Well, we go back since the 80s.
Yeah.
Well,
I can say that.
We're going to wrap it up now, yeah?
No, we're going to continue another 3
Okay,
days.
good. My walk-in happened at 6 years old, and you can just imagine. I mean, look at this. Look at that face. Look at that Shana Punham. Look at those eyes, right? And it was really, can you imagine reconciling, having conversations with higher beings and watching Howdy Doody at the same time? I mean, this was a real challenge. But what I've learned from what I've seen this weekend, first and foremost, not just anyone can be a squirrel, right?
A squirrel?
That's a squirrel. Don't you remember?
I
Jeremy,
remember.
right?
That is embedded
Not just
in
anyone
me.
can be a squirrel.
Yes.
And that's the truth, and it's okay. The walk-in phenomenon is one of the least understood experiential phenomenons of our time. And because of this conference, we're really beginning to learn so much more about this very, very important aspect. We understand now a lot more about indigo, starseeds, much of our lost history. John von Rysbrook, in The Adornment of the Spiritual Marriage, says knowledge of ourselves teaches us whence we come, where we are, and whither we are going. That we are from God, but we are in a state of exile. Well, we have been the lost princesses, the lost brides, the sleeping beauties, the spiritual exiles. But when the temple in man, woman is rebuilt, and it's going to be rebuilt with knowledge and wisdom and love, of course, gratitude for all the gifts of spirit, she, the Shekinah will return in her dazzling white radiance as the liberator, as the liberating angel, liberating matter from its bondage. We're learning who we are. So the prayer that I want to...
Oh, wait, I think Jody was going to do a prayer first before you.
Oh, okay.
And then you can
Cool.
jump in, Jody, and then unless
That's
Jody wants
great.
to. Go ahead, Jody, let's do some
Yeah.
light, and then Phil can close, and Neil.
Okay, lovely, thanks.
So I'll do light language for the purpose of opening up the gateway to the multidimensional heart so that we can all feel more of that love that already exists, but to remember that we have that whole connection and that we are that energy. I'm going to sing it.
Yes.
Ulalakiku taluku. Amalariki shalaleki tanana maraku. Imbriki lakalaki lakalaki shalakalakumanehikar. Ombarere shikur balaki lalamalele kuru shaharar. Ommahaleki adaro. Rari shalaleki talomar. Malaleleki shahare. Maheshiti kiangwakiante tokola malaki malakaturu maraki. Zarishia kura kalaki malakala klimalaki tanama yatano. Amaraki shalabalaki saya. Haina no manguru no marur. Lula lela lula le kila lele kururu basharo. Amani mashalakiela malakitar. Unomuru kushua kwatianaru kurishanane. We speak to your hearts. We speak to your souls. We speak to your body, your mind, your spirit, all of the source of which you are, to remember the fullness of your multidimensional being and to experience that all in this human experience. Bashalama lakila katukuruka, to join all hearts together now of all that are participating, the speakers as well as everyone who's here now on this, with everyone here at this moment, and to extend that and expand that out into the world. Ashalala kiala kiala kurumokuru, askia sorushukura kira. Amaraki, Amalaki, Ramaki, Aha, Matea, 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 which means love. Asabatia, Shakula, Karia, Marakia, Aman, Ania, Sha, Aka, Aka, Aka. Thank you.
Thank you.
Phil, how do you follow that, Phil?
Just hang on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jody. You know, like when you come in out of the cold and you get that first blast of warm air from that fireplace, you know how you feel when you bring that comforter up, you know? It's beautiful. Thank you, Jody.
Glad you're here, Jody.
So I'm going to make this very short and very sweet. Can you all hear that?
Yes, good.
There's so many wonderful groups now. I hear there's a group just for Arcturians who like to play volleyball. You know, we have so much support now from each other. You know, we are truly feathers in each other's wings. So what I want you to do now, we would like you to do, what we ask you to do, just close your eyes, breathe easily and gently and deeply and comfortably. And there's so much to be grateful for, because one of the real secrets of gratitude is that it is a magnetic force. Read Wallace Wattles, The Science of Getting Rich. Success through creative thought. Gratitude is a magnetic force which unites your solar plexus and your brain in your heart space. And that's where the gratitude is felt, and that's where it is extended to the world. So much to be grateful for. And simply ask yourself, ask your higher self, your soul identity. Ask the angels, how can I be of the most greatest service in this life to the world? What can I be made to see, to feel, to know, to go, where I can be of the most dedicated, sincere service to myself, to each other, to God, to the world? can I do right here, right now, to be of the greatest service to the world? What can I be shown? Could I be led to? So I could be of pure, unadulterated, dedicated, and sincere service. Because that to me is the greatest definition of success. How can I find a way to serve more? And be grateful just for the opportunity to be here to serve at this most special time. And we will know the full revelation of ourselves in this lifetime. We just hold fast to that vision. And so it is, here now, forever and always, in eternal, abiding, reverent love of the eternal All One. Blessed be all embracing, given forth from the still point of eternal peace, spoken as it is stated. We are this expression now in our collective best divine intention. And so it is. Jody, you can open for me anytime. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. God bless you all.
So I'm glad you are playing that thing still. Your harp. What's your thing to do? Does who play harps? There was a joke about that.
I'll tell you, angels do play this harp.
That's right.
That's
Angels
right.
play harp. All right, that brings us back down to the originator, the builder of the portal, the person, the guy, the man who made it all happen and possible. Sheila, did you have anything to say before we close?
Yeah, again, my heart's just overflowing. Thank you so much. Yes, we will make this an annual event. We'll have tons and tons of good content. Phil and I are talking about doing a wish conference too. So the beauty's just going to continue. So thank you guys so much.
And thank you, everyone.
Women as well too, guys, girls, women, men. Thank you.
Yeah, everyone who's been here for 1, 2, or 3 days, everyone on the chat, everyone who's not even on the chat, just listening, taking it all in. Everyone's energy just impacts all of us. And it's been really exciting to be so connected to a global community. And so we're taking this beyond the globe to other globes, a cosmic community. And Neil, that's what happens when you build a portal to ascension. So there you go.
Exactly.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
what was your impression overall, or what do you have to say, Neil, about what you experienced this weekend?
It was definitely up leveling in vibration. I felt like, and I don't say this lightly. I'm not, some people are really open in saying like they feel these activations all the time. I don't really do that. And I do these events all the time, like two times a week right now for the last few years. And they're just getting bigger and bigger. So for an event to really have that impact on me is pretty rare because I'm doing so much. I don't really have time to pay attention and be a part of everything that I create. Sometimes I'm doing other things, but I was here the whole entire time, listening, feeling. If I wasn't listening, I was feeling it. I was writing more music while I was listening to other people's downloads. It was inspiring creativity for me. And just the vibration, the interaction in the chat room, there was something unique about this event, very unique. And I think it was the fact that this is a call out. And I jokingly said yesterday morning when we were chatting before we started that, this is the second call for the walk-ins. The first one was the cosmic call, and now this is the second call. This is like the earth call, like, okay, like mission activated, right? So I feel very honored to be able to provide this platform. And I told you guys briefly about, my friend that was walking that committed suicide, right? We had the interview on it. And when I was thinking about this, just like from the last hour, I was thinking about the event, and I was like, well, actually, because of my connection to him and what happened to him, that was actually in the back of my head when I was talking to Sheila. And part of why I said yes immediately was because of him. And so I realized that if it wasn't for for anybody, most of you don't know, my friend was walking, he came in, he was over 350 pounds. Within months, he lost all of the weight. He became a UFC fighter. He didn't tell anybody about it. And he kept calling me every year, almost telling me he wanted to kill himself. And I just was his only lifeline, really. He really didn't know any conscious people in the community. The year before he committed suicide, he attended Conscious Life Expo, first time he really had those connections. And then he did it. Like, he'd been telling me for 5 years he was going to do it because how disconnected he felt. He would walk down streets and light bulbs would explode, right? Like, it was just like he didn't know what to do. And that led him to, like, he didn't have the support, right? He didn't have what Sheila is creating right now. He didn't have a conference like this. If something like this was happening back then, this was like, I don't even remember, 4 or 5 years ago, 6, 7, 8 years ago. I don't even know. Time is like too fluid for me right now. But so just having that idea and that notion really inspired me to say yes to this, and then have it as a continued thing where we can have that outlet and that support. And what I've been saying for quite a long time to a lot of people in the world that are like attending events like this is that, being in the US, we are blessed, like, to have a lot of these events, but being in California, we're saturated with conferences and consciousness and all this stuff. There's so much going on. There's people all over the world. And the thing with Portal to Ascension is we do have a global audience. I remember 6 years ago, someone in Kazakhstan emailed me saying thank you, that they, they watch our videos. At that time, 6 years ago, we produced everything for Stephen Greer, and he was way into Stephen Greer. So would be watching it from Kazakhstan. I had a family in India 6, 7 years ago message me the internet would only be on 2 days a week, and the whole family in India, in this village, would get together to watch our webinars, right? So I really want to be able to bridge the gap with Portal to Ascension, and I feel we've actually done that, and bringing all these communities all over the world, and realizing that even though, like, Alan, for example, you attend a lot of conferences, you're like MC, you're all over the US, you're going to Sedona, right? So we neglect to realize that there's so many people that don't have that outlet, they don't have that support. They might be the only one in the village, right, that has this kind of awareness, and they feel lonely. So this is what not only this event's for, but that's what Portal to Ascension is really for. We're here to be that one-stop shop for consciousness. I used to jokingly say, I don't really say this anymore, but I'll say it now, that, when people start waking up and walking around like chickens with their heads cut off, we're going to be the portal. So, and it's because, like, what it took me 20 years to get to this point, it's taking people 2 months, 1 year, right? They're just getting there now. It took me 20 years of research to get to this point. And it's just, the information is there, the download is there, the activation is being embedded in them when they're born. So right now, I don't like to say time is accelerating, because time is a construct, but consciousness is expanding, and the manifestation of that is we feel time is expanding, time is going faster. We just have so much stimuli, we're processing it all right now, and I feel it's all coming to be processed. Everything from the Orion Wars and back before, all this karma is getting ready now to be deposited into the central black hole and recycled, so that we can kind of start afresh at this new level. And I feel that this event was one of those, milestones in that creation.
Yes, it was an upgrade for sure. It was a vibratory upgrade. And so you're going to do a poem and then we're going to
Yes.
say goodbye, because I don't think any one of us want to leave. It's like,
I
who
know,
wants to
right?
get out of a warm, it's like getting out of a warm bath. Who wants to?
That's so funny. Yeah, so what I'm gonna do actually is we're gonna be here for another 9 minutes or so while I'm doing this, because this is gonna be something unique that's gonna tie everything together through spoken word and meditation. But first of all, I want to plug this one more time: Sound Healing Activation Conference. I did ask Phil to be a part of it. He gave me the thumbs up yesterday in the panel. So I think if you're asleep, Phil, you can pre-record, but I would love for you to be there.
I will be
But
there. I will
okay,
be
cool.
there.
So Alan and I are going to co-host this. This is going to be next week. It's free or by donation. We have Light Body Sound, Ben Carroll. He's going to be singing and doing bowls. Peter Sterling on the harp. Michael Brandt and Maria on flute. Stephen Halpern, Phil Gruber, Alan, myself. I'm looking for 2 female sound healers. The 2 female sound healers that had dropped out. So if you know
Jody is
anybody
a sound healer. Why don't we get Jody?
who's set up for online sessions, yeah. Okay, let's do it. So we'll talk about that later. So please do continue your experience and integrate the vibration with this sound healing conference that's coming up next week. Everybody will get an email for that. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead, Alan.
No, when you finish your poem, are you just going to click and we're all going to disappear? Is that what's
No,
gonna
I'm going to just say thank you, and then we can all do what we've been doing the last couple of days, just saying our last goodbyes and giving love and all that.
Because
Does that work?
also it's like we're all in like a vibration here.
Yeah.
So as you close and we say goodbye, it's like just everyone go into themselves and just let the whole conference resonate within you and feel what we've all witnessed collectively and been a part of and shared and participated in. So something's
100%.
happening for us, all of us.
And I'll lead a little meditation. So what we're going to do right now, as I said, it's going to be around 9 minutes long, just to let everyone know, is firstly, I'm going to show you, this was the next slide of my presentation, which was my poem that I made for Lisa Royale Holt called The Prism of Lyra, based on her book. And I did an event with her, and then I made this poem and gave it to her. And this is about, we're talking about galactic origins, basically. We're talking about the depth of the human soul. So this poem, I'm just going to keep the slides up here and you can go through it with me. And we're going to go on a journey through our galactic origins to Earth, right? And then after that, go ahead.
Why don't we get Lisa Royale to a conference? Have you reached out?
Yeah, I've been trying. Last year, a couple of years, she said that she wasn't doing anything besides her own stuff for 2 years. So I'm going to hit her up. But yes, we should. So I'm going to do this poem, and it's just, hold on to the words, read along with it. And we're going to be going through these galactic origins from Lyra to Earth. And then afterwards, I'm going to do my poem called The 9 Hells. And there's indigenous places, indigenous cultures in the world that have said that we're exiting the 9th hell. And so does, Dante's Inferno also has 9 hells. So what I'm going to do in this poem is going to be very empowering in that poem. However, it's going to be talking about all the what we could call the yuck, the strife, the struggle of Earth in this human experience. And through that, we're going to put all of that out on the table to be deposited into the central sun. And then we're going to do the meditation in which we are going to zoom out of this planet, zoom out of the galaxy, out of the universe, out of the multiverse, until all we see is the single dot. And we're going to give our energy and our love to all of creation. And then that's going to end with one final spoken word piece. So, okay, here we go. This one is called The Prism of Lyra. And as I said, it is the story of our galactic origins. I rhythmically scratch records. Visionary mass appeal. Holistically heal the resonance of a presence. Allow yourself to feel. Fragmentation of source. Self-wishing to experience was all from one thought of what if? Could I be this? The polar opposite. Through the prism we came, created a prison of the brain. Enslaved? You don't think so? There are no victims in this show. We're all playing a role. Ego, learn to let it go. Let the soul flow from the crown to the root. I'm letting you know it is only conceptual. Experience allows wisdom to grow. Embrace the ignorance that spreads from the elitist control. You see, when the Syrians descended into this density, the Lyrans came, looking for a place to incarnate and name a species and a race to hold the souls of they who are interdimensional entities. Integration being the third point, anoint the Christ consciousness sacred geometry to protect the kids of the universe being only one galaxy. Moving closer to the center by raising our frequency, I frequently see infinite possibilities, a contractual planet with the masses on their knees. The snake in the Bible will be found to be the positivity, polarized by the Syrians who knew about free will, gave us the choice from the blue or red pill. The Lyrans were enraged. They wanted us to keep us ingrained in oneness and fifth dimensional grace. Instead, into darkness we came, so that one day we can transcend and regain remembrance of our place in this intergalactic plane of extraterrestrials, just to name a few: Arcturians, Pleiadians, and Syrians, who genetically mutated early man too, created perfect embodiment of who they are, using Stargate souls coming through stars, entering the womb to embark on a journey through the dark to once again spark and ignite the flame, rearrange the neural networks in the brain to achieve enlightenment. The universe is abundance. Together we will live the cosmic dance, the interdimensional manifestation of man. ET incarnates, known as light workers. We're here to transform this land. And now we will enter the realm of the nine hells.
Can we just applaud for a second? I'm just applauding.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks.
So that was the story of galactic origins and the story of the Lyrans. And, you know, there's a lot of things missing in there because it's a huge, long story, but that's the gist of it. So here we go with the nine hells. And this is going to go right into the meditation. So you can close your eyes now, or right when I'm done with this. We're going to breathe together, and then we're going to go into the meditation. Enter the maze, the abyss, where misery sits, the inferno that is too hot to sit, yet alone take a stand. This is the land that you will forever be in. Doesn't really exist in the realm of men and women. Souls come down to explore this world. You are renowned in the depths of this place, where God sent humans to waste their life, disgrace their time on this 3D line. Down we fall to the underworld. But my question is, can we fall anymore? We were angels who dropped, tripped, and fell onto earth. We are volunteers, not celestial beings who were cursed. What is the worst thing that can happen with so much chaos and lyricists rapping, expressing themselves through flows? Until you enter the first hell, entitled limbo, where the unbaptized and pagans go. I guess I will enter this realm because I know there was once more. Until we decided to worship the sun, many gods with a lowercase g, their words were empty, but providing technology that has been lost to time until Revelations transforms this timeline. Enter the realm of lust, stuck, no balance. Patriarchy has come and done its damage, over-sexualizing, controlling minds, but I managed to break free. Every now and then until it catch up with me, the signs, the entertainment, the media, we can't trust. This fiending, can we adjust from a millennia of rust, wipe off the dust as we raise our cups to the highest of levels? We have various forms of devils, personified energy combined with heavy metals will shift your brain as we enter into the next two planes of existence. Gluttony and greed are hells that are persistent. I will remove the items from my wish list. To this personal hell I am resistant. Many are coexisting with demons that are misfits as we shift our intentions and belief systems around what is our mission on this third planet. We are stranded. One day this illusion will straight up vanish. The greed is the fourth cycle in this inferno, where humans fight for money and valuables. The I am presence knows the grand design is intellectual, but anger can consume you. It will make you enter the tomb. Your tombstone will join the other souls that could move on or pass grudges that last multiple lifetimes, running too fast, foot on the gas, exploding and erupting, spreading lava all over the place. Move up to the circle of heresy, where heretics spend eternity, dubbed to be blasphemy, ashes and scorching fire, those who have been wired not to believe what is commonly accepted, and retire organized religion. With an alternative vision of a personal hell that would diminish this life is straight up finished, made in his image, but dismissed by God into the seventh and eighth, encompassed with violence and fraud. If you feel these flows, give your head a nod. Ground into the earth with a copper rod. Conscious awareness will never be outlawed. I applaud the ways you move through this maze. And at the end of the tunnel, there's light at the end of the day. Climbing up the hierarchy into the ninth hell of treachery, the last aspect of duality, needed before the extrasensory gifts come online. DNA strands activate in the vibration inside. Each one of us will rise as life moves on from struggle to joy and fun. And we enter the sixth sun. Take a deep breath in. And as all the people on social media, there's a good 100 people so tuning in on social media. We have another 50 or 60 still left in the room. In this moment here, we're all just going to breathe naturally. You know, Emma Louise had said earlier about the darkness. There's a line from the Rig Veda that says the darkness teaches us the beauty of light, right? So when I read that line, I came up with my own understanding, and I realized that the most unconditional light, the most unconditional thing the light has ever done is to allow the darkness to live within it. They're not separate at all. It's one. The most unconditional thing the light has done is allow the darkness to thrive because of the experiences that it is allowing and the contrast that we're receiving from it. So continue to breathe. And in this moment, we're not attempting to change the reality through our breath. We're not attempting to change the reality through our thoughts and mind. We're going to accept reality and this moment as it is by our natural breath. Breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. And I want you to feel the sensation of the air leaving your nostrils, hitting the upper lip, tuning in to the senses that makes us human. Keep your eyes closed and continue to breathe. As we all sit in our respective places on earth, we begin to levitate our consciousness, connected to our body at all times, but also paradoxically out of our body, moving into the atmosphere. As we move out into the atmosphere, we begin to see the entire planet, a beautiful earth, Mother Earth that has graced us and allowed us to live on this planet, provides us with so much beauty and so much unconditional love. We move out and we keep our hands up and we feel our energy passing through our body as we breathe in and out, just accepting the universe and the cosmos as it is. Chaos, harmony, order, disorder, love, hate, all that is, all the energy and all the emotions and all the frequencies. With gratitude, we send that love down to earth as we continue to move out into the solar system, past the asteroid belt, past the remnants of Maldek, past Mars. We'll probably see a pyramid on the way. Past Saturn, past Jupiter, out all the way to the depths of the galaxy. We have great vision. We're all the way at Pluto now. And we can see our entire cosmos going all the way to the sun, our entire solar system. And as we sit there in a meditative pose, giving our energy to the whole solar system, we extend gratitude to the drama and the play that has unfolded in our solar system for millions and millions of years. That every single thing that has happened has led to our experience now in this planet, on this planet, in this moment, on this platform, on this webinar. Even the fact that Jupiter is where it is. If it wasn't there, Earth wouldn't be here. If Saturn wasn't there, Earth wouldn't be here. Did you know they actually absorb asteroids that would otherwise hit Earth? Everything in our solar system is created perfectly in order to allow for this amazing, thriving experience on Earth. And as we sit or stand at the end of our solar system, we give energy and we give gratitude. No matter what experiences, no matter what struggle, no matter what strife we've experienced on Earth, just the reality and the fact that we were able to experience it, we have gratitude for that. We have reverence for everything that has happened before us, for the ancestors that have brought us here, from the stories that were told. And as we're sending energy, we feel ourselves going through subspace faster than the speed of light, out of our entire galaxy. And we see the beautiful Milky Way galaxy spinning with fractal arms and the light in the center. So much light in the center, the central sun, the Zeus of creation, the sun that will blind you by looking directly at it. However, it is masking the supermassive black hole that all things within our galaxy are orbiting around, that we are orbiting around. The seed of God. And we feel the love and the gratitude in our hearts for our galaxy. and for the experience and the karmic cycle that we're all a part of, and the collective family, and the ETs and the races, and the serpentine beings and the dragons and all the other races that have played their roles within our galaxy in creating this karmic cycle of experience. And as we do that, we now go out into the universe, continuing to give our energy and give our love to the entire universe, to all of creation. And we continue to move further and further and further back until our universe becomes one dot out of many dots. Infinite dots everywhere. Infinite dots and multiverses of creation, where entire universes, laws of physics are completely different than the laws of physics in our universe. Entire water universes. So much variation, so much diversity, and infinite parallel realities. And all we can do is accept and be in awe of the reverence of who we are and our divine spark and the fact that we even exist within this reality. We take a deep breath in. And as you exhale all the love and the gratitude and reverence that you can have in your heart to all of creation, to every single one of those dots, to every single being, to every single sentient being, to every single thing that we believe is unconscious, but truly everything is conscious. From the rock that needs to be in its place in order to give us the experience of beauty, to the mountain, to the person, to the animal, to the beings that brought us to this planet, to all of creation and the galactic beings that donated DNA in order for us to have this genetic experiment of Earth. We give thanks. We give thanks. Now we're going to do one Om all together, and then I'm going to end it with one final spoken word piece. Take a deep breath in, 2 deep breaths in before we do Om. So deep breath in and exhale it out. You can let it go with a sigh if you like. Another deep breath in, and then out with a sigh if you like. Now on this next inhale, we're going to go with the collective Om. Inhale. So are we one yet? Going back to source. No remorse when we reinforce the course that we all endorse. Unconditional love. It's the highest vibration, a gift from above. Desolation of separation, we must be the ones to say this is enough. You see the third dimension? It was meant to be tough. There is no captivity, so unlock the cuffs, move away from hate and begin to trust. No more anger or lust. A thought shifts the earth's crust into a straight axis, just like in Atlantis. Stop causing damage and learn to manage self-realization. When people start to vanish when we change our intentions and join the like-minded souls in the 5th dimension, this is the beginning of our oversoul mission. What is it that you envision for the future incarnations? The Christ consciousness has arisen. Tear the perception of being in prison, this industrial system, slumber of opposites. Duality where we get lost and forget how to circumvent and achieve liberation. The curiosity won't last for long at all. As we move to the aquatic age, break free from the 3rd dimensional cage of limitations, Freemasons being misplaced in this illusionary reality, governing authorities, there will be no more war. Co-create a love ambassador, open the doors. Life isn't supposed to be a chore. No getting on your knees, worshiping entities from the floor. The message is simple, man. We don't need to know anymore. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. Thank you.
We've been waiting for.
Love you all.
That's great.
That's been the theme of the weekend.
That's great, Neil. Thank you. Thank you. Are we finishing up? I was thinking maybe there's still 51 minus 12. There's still people here with us. Do we want to bring them all on screen? Is that too much, or just say hello?
No, we can do that. Yeah, let's do it.
If people want
Party
to,
that never ends.
Yeah, and if you don't want to start your camera, don't. But I'll make everybody have the the opportunity to do so.
say hello. I mean, whatever, and then we'll have to leave eventually. The conference will finish at some point, I suppose. But I want to thank everyone for being here all these days with us, and
Yeah, let me make it gallery for everyone here. so we can see everybody's faces.
Yeah. Anyway, just to see who's been with us. And there's been like 100 people throughout the whole weekend. So these are people here down for the very last part of it. And
yeah, so everybody, I'm making everybody a presenter now. If you would like to, you can go ahead and start your camera.
yes. And thank you all. And it's just a great community we have. And there's our community.
Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you, Sheila. That's great.
And I love your fairy hair.
Oh, thank you. I do too. Listen, if I'm going gray, I'm doing it with a sparkle.
Yeah, thank you for your comments, and Pamela and Felicia.
Alicia, hey.
Yes.
Rachel, Jane.
These are our hardcore people.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, thanks. Well, this
Oh,
is
we gotta take a picture.
Yeah, it's our community.
Okay, if anybody has not started the camera and they want to do so, go ahead and do it right now, because I'm gonna take a little photo. And maybe we can allow a couple people to give their feedback since we have nowhere else to go.
Leanne wants to give some feedback. Was that your hand raised? Unmute yourself, Leanne.
Offer this, even though I'm still young yet and I don't know what I'm saying, but they asked for it.
Ah, beautiful.
Nice. Great. You're young, you said? How old are you?
Well, I think I don't know. I'm a baby and I'm a million years old. I have no idea.
Okay. Doesn't matter. It's okay. It's all good. Anybody else want to share anything? Felicia, Rachel, Don had a lot to say in the chat. Pamela, you were very active, and
it's so nice to see everybody's face.
Yes.
This is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Nice to meet you all.
Yeah, thanks. We have more where this came from. So great, thanks. So how do we end this all, Neil?
It's just the beginning, brother.
With love.
The party continues on Thursday.
To be continued. To be continued. That's how we end it.
Come to the after party in the dream world. We'll have a great meeting there. So
there you go.
Thanks. Wow. Great to see all these. Well, everyone seems like activated. Just looking at everyone's faces, there's just like a glow there.
It's kind of like this love bomb going across the world, you know, touching, hugging everybody. It's awesome.
Yeah. The next best thing to being there. Yes, it's great. We are. This is our.
Everybody's speechless.
Speechless. Yes.
Everybody's speechless. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hey, Joe.
Hello, Joe. Thanks for being here. Well, there's nowhere to go anyway, so we might as well just hang out, right?
Well, I love you all, but I'm going to have to sign off.
Thanks, Marilyn.
Namaste,
Hi,
y'all.
Marilyn.
Can everybody say
Marilyn?
Say goodbye in light language, everybody? That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Vibration with you.
Thank you all. Love.
Thank you.
Take care. God bless.
Thank you, Joe. Take care, brother.
We'll talk to you later, Neil.
Love
Neil,
you.
I gotta,
Thank you, Neil.
Neil, I need you to do a rap for me. You're amazing.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
For sure. We'll talk to you later.
Hit me up.
Take
Yeah,
care.
for sure.
Neil,
Bye.
if you
God bless you guys. You're amazing.
Neil, it would be wonderful to be able to share that poem that you just gave, like as a video on Facebook. I would love to share that with some people.
So
if you ever film that.
my YouTube channel has me at a bunch of different ancient sites and pyramids performing this. So
Great.
you can check it out there. MC_resonance on YouTube. But I also have a spoken word album will be released in a couple of weeks, and then a hip hop album. So I'll let everybody know about it.
Wonderful. I'll be promoting that.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Well, this has been more than a lot of fun. It's been.
I'm so happy that it was the beginning of the year too. It just feels like it feels
Perfect
really
time.
like exactly what needed to happen at the beginning. You know.
Yeah,
It was a very hard energy this week, and it was really wonderful to, I mean, this week more than any other time, I've not had any resonance as things have gotten so chaotic in our country. And to have this beautiful space this weekend was truly divinely orchestrated. So thank you all.
Yeah, it's always a balance,
Thank
right?
you.
We're here to balance that other energy that's out there.
I just want to say hello to Ariel. Ariel and I met 20 years ago on an Ashta Command. Hello, are there walk-ins out there? I was when I had first internet. And there you are, sweetheart. Lots of love. This is so awesome.
Lots of
Aloha.
love to you. Oh my goodness.
Small world.
The universe brings us all together just in time. I love it.
Me too. Thank you.
Can't wait for you guys to rock on that next music, man. That'll be fantastic. And feel
On which one, Joe?
On the 16th, that's when you guys are going to be performing.
Yeah, there's gonna be 5 different sound healers, and then I'm gonna get like at least 4 different spoken word artists. So it's just gonna be sound healer poetry, sound healers poetry for a good 5 hours, and then we're doing a 2-hour I'm gonna do a 2-hour presentation on ancient civilizations and how they use sound.
Wow,
So it's gonna be
fantastic.
fun. Yeah, yeah.
You guys are all amazing, man. I'm glad these 3 days were here for us. This is fantastic. Thank you so
Were
much.
you here all 3 days, Joe? Were you here for the?
I in between whenever I could, but I'm glad I can go back and review all this. This is going to be amazing. Thank you so much.
But some people were here for all 3 days, right?
I was.
All right. Who's? Oh, great.
Jennifer.
I
was.
Oh, wow. Wasn't it like
I
building
was.
frequency? It's like.
Well, that's why I can't show myself on camera, because I have barely showered. I've barely eaten.
Right, we can't smell. We can't smell you.
I crawled up from under a rock.
It was full on for sure. I'm
Oh.
eating dinner right now, so
No,
it's been
wonderful.
9 hours. Today.
It's going to be lonely.
Well, you're always with your soul anyway, right?
That's right. And my cat.
And your cat. Oh, your dog.
Yeah, she jumped up on me during Neil's meditation, and she was kneading biscuits on me, which is probably what kept me in my body, because I was way out there. But she always jumps on when something's going on. She'll come in, and that's how she kind of keeps me grounded in my body. But
I just realized we're still on YouTube, so we got a lot of people tuning in
We have
too.
a lot of people. But
I'm really glad I didn't turn my camera on.
Right.
It's
But
our
as
first
we-
cosmic party. Leanne, who is your little partner there? Or you have 2 of them?
Oh,
Do they
Leanne,
have- I have 3 of them.
Are they African Greys? Do they speak? Do they do light language?
Yeah. Yeah, this one, the licorice, if you ask
Wow.
her
Oh,
what
nice.
a kitty says and offer her a treat, she'll meow. And you ask her what a crow says, she'll go, oh, oh.
Really? Can you ask her? Wait, unmute yourself.
Oh, you're muted.
Here, let
Leanne.
me get a treat. Whoa, okay. Diva's fully flighted. Let me put Licky down and get a treat. And then,
Which
yeah,
part
we
of
can
the
do
world are you in, Leanne?
it. I am in New York City.
Oh, I'm in New York City.
Wait, you're here now?
I'm not right this second, but I'm usually there. Yeah.
Really?
I'm out in Long Island, but yeah, I'm in New York.
All right. I'm on the Upper West Side.
I'm on the lower.
I am
East.
too.
Who's that?
Who?
Oh, Felicia. Yeah, and Jody.
All right. Well, I mean, clearly it's safe
Gotta
space.
go.
I'm on
Bye,
93rd
Looney.
and Broadway, like
Love
right
you.
above.
Love you. Thank you so much.
Bye
bye. Love you. Bye bye.
Marilyn, I'm gonna have a call with Leanne in a few days. You should jump on it. She has a lot to offer. We're gonna have some conversations and hopefully collaborate.
I don't know if Darlene is still here, but I think I freaked her out and Miguel, because she gave me a We talked on the phone and I had way too much energy. Like I didn't even let her talk. Every time she said, well, and then you're this. And I was just like, I'm crazy. Miguel's just like,
the woman who has a psychic African gray, they put her in one room.
Oh,
No,
right.
really.
See, and I just
They
completely
put
derailed
the
myself.
woman in one room and the African gray in the other, and they showed these pictures to the woman. The African gray would say what the woman, her owner, was looking at. That was
What's that?
done by Rupert Sheldrake.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, we're getting treats.
By the way, Rupert Sheldrake is looking for people. Rebecca, are you still here? Rebecca Hardcastle?
She was. Well, we can. What did she look? What is he looking for?
No, because Rupert has this experiment that he looks for volunteers for, and Rebecca just sent me the email yesterday, and we need to kind of do the telephone thing with 3 people, and nobody knows who's calling. We are kind of intuiting who is calling.
Right.
And he will do this kind of science experiment via the telephone. So Rebecca Hardcastle would be the person.
Oh, I'd like to do that.
I would too.
I always
So
know
why
when
don't
my
you guys
mother's
email me and I forward it to you, because I have Rebecca's email. She just sent it to me. I haven't
send you
really
my
read it.
email, or anyone who wants my email, I'll send it. Put that
Yeah,
right.
so just send it to me, Hildegard at Hildegard.
I'll put it in the chat.
Oh, I put in chat, even better.
Or anyone else who wants. I think Rupert Sheldrake's one of our geniuses, creating a new science. So, were you going to talk? Your parrot going to talk, Leanne?
Don't forget the parrot.
Right. She might. Let's see. All right. Licky. What does a crow say? What does a crow say? What does a crow say? Come on. No, that's you. She'll start answering that one. Well, all right. Hold on. Licky. What's that? No, she doesn't like the phone. What does a crow say? What does a crow say? What does a crow say? Good girl.
Oh.
All right. What does a kitty say? What does a kitty? Good girl.
Oh. Wow.
Oh my God.
To teach them light language, we'll get some really great stuff.
That would be heaven.
Well, this is fun.
Frankly,
Thanks,
for me,
Yvonne.
that's how it
Thank you.
started. That's like, I've been sitting here talking to these birds going, I know, right? And they respond. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just making noises. And then I did that for Reuben Langdon, and he's like, that's light language. I thought, wait, what? What's that?
Well, I think we should just all take this frequency and the parrots and just feel it and take it to our beds with us.
Yeah, that's all of that.
Beautiful.
Well, thanks again, Neil, for throwing this party. You're always good at throwing parties.
Yes.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you,
Let me
Sheila.
just
Thank you,
say-
Alan. Thank you all.
Sheila, we're
Thank
gonna do
you,
it again.
everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Signing off.
Gail, great to see
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Gail.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye. Talk later.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow, that's love to you all.
Someone's gonna have to hang up
yourself.
first. It's all Neil's gonna have to do it. I can't do
Yeah,
it.
Neil, you're gonna
All
have
right.
to do it for
I
us.
can't. I can't do it.
The host has to stay last,
No.
right?
The host
Disconnect us.
with
It's-
great
Watch, you can't say-
responsibility,
Yep.
or with great power comes great responsibility.
Yep.
All right.
It
If
was a
you
good
still
time.
need a poet, let me know. I have some poets in the closet that want to come out.
Oh yeah. Let's talk, because I'm doing conscious open mic on Sunday, and every month I'm going to do a consciousness open mic. So if you have some poets, and if you want to come on too, because you have poetry just perfect alignment with the actual open mic. So
Well,
I'll
yeah,
email
this
you
is-
and we can.
This is my survival the last 28 years writing poetry,
Yeah, exactly.
Neil, I have to
Beautiful.
say, I've never seen anybody so prolific in everything.
Thank
How
you.
do you do so much? It's amazing. It's really inspiring, though.
That is just
it's
who
just-
he is, right?
It's just so fun for me. Like I honestly, I can do whatever I want in my life right now, and and I create these events, and it gives me so much freedom to live my life and do everything I love, going to sacred sites, filming documentaries. So it just inspires me to do it. Like just in this event alone, just today, I produced 2 full events, and they're on the website. So we've created a turnkey. It used to take me 3 days to produce an event. Now it takes me 2 hours.
So great. When I look at you, I just see like your inner child. It's so great. It just I do that with everybody, but I just see that inner child is beautiful. It's really great. Thank you.
Neil, do you also play an instrument or any instrument?
I tried to play guitar in the beginning of COVID. I took some lessons, but then I stopped. But no, I don't play. My wife and I are sound healers. We play like Tibetan bowls, didgeridoos, that kind of stuff. But I'm not trained in any other like guitar or drums or anything like that. It's just intuitively sound bowls, tuning forks.
You might be amazed if you pick up an instrument, how it comes.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't be the first one who picks up a guitar and doodles and then watch what happens.
Yeah, I need to doodle.
And definitely get Jody on your sound panel if you want.
Yeah, Jody, are you set up to do online sound healing? Like, does your sound come out good?
I do all sorts of sounds and also and languages and mix it with channeled information.
Okay. Oh, nice. Okay, cool. I'll connect with you tomorrow, the next day. I'll get your email.
Is the conference?
It's on Saturday.
Oh, good, because I'm going to be out of town till Friday. Okay, that's great.
Yeah, in 30 minutes and pretty much anytime during the day, we can talk about that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll hit the button, Neil.
This is it, everybody. I know, right? Okay, love you all so much. Thank you very much. Talk later.
Love you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Ellen.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.